in the rivers, out in the seas, masters of the deep, dolphin mysteries. Bottlenose freaks, short beaks in the night, humpback shadows, pygmies out of sight. All the dolphins, you know it's true, rolling deep in the ocean blue. Stripes and spots, they rule the tide. Water dogs of the deep, they don't hide. In the river's grip, seas endless bounty, ruling the waves, Dolphin Illuminati. Praised by Romans, gods to the Greeks, underwater rulers, the power peaks. In ocean depths, their counts to 6. Dolphins in the dark, never calling it quits. Striped and spotted in the sea's domain, aquatic dogs in their own insane lane. Through rivers they ride, seas they roam. In the ocean depths, they make their home.
Well, I talk about insanity, which is what's going on in your mind, and outside, which is where you communicate with those outside. As you know, if you give too much of your insanity, they'll lock you up. Well, I tried giving as much as I could. They locked me up. They published it, paid me.
Illuminati, deep, deep, deep in the deep they creep. It's that Dolphin Illuminati. In the rivers and the seas they be a constant mystery. It's that Dolphin Illuminati. It's that Dolphin Illuminati. Deep, deep, deep in the deep they creep. It's that Dolphin Illuminati. In the rivers and the seas they be a constant mystery. It's that Dolphin Illuminati. It's that Dolphin Illuminati.
So hard, I'm taking the top. Back row thick, pockets on swole. You hitting my line, I'm letting it go. Man, it looks so clean, dripping and go. You ain't on my level, you already know. Stay your lane, I'm running the game. Phone on silent, you know the name. Make any moves, stacking the change. Don't need no drama, ain't playing no games. Don't call me, I'll call you. Money stacking up, I got things to do. Getting lit, making moves, that's the cruise. Phone on silent, I ain't hearing you. Don't call me, I'll call you. Paper chasing, that's what I'm into. Busy running, gotta keep it true. Don't call me, I'll call you. I'm on a mission, ain't got no time. Pulling up since I'm on the grind. Phone on mute, I'm in my prime. Don't call me, I'm cutting the line. Pockets so fat, pockets obese. I'm blowing my phone, I'm chasing the cheese. I'm in the top, it's a different breed. Focus on money, I'm feeling at ease. Making these plays, running the scope. Don't need your call, I'm ready for more. Weighing on me, I'm setting the tone. When I get there, I hit up your phone.
Spread the word with propaganda packs, all for just $40 shipped at paranoidamerican.com.
Paranoid propaganda packs. We got facts on these sticker slaps. So grab yourself a stack and go attack with these paranoid propaganda packs.
These huge all-weather slaps will last in public for years to come. Remind citizens that birds are not real, self-immolation is an option, and might make you magnetic. Do your part and get a propaganda pack today from paranoidamerican.com.
Yeah, paranoid propaganda packs. We got facts on these sticker slaps. So grab yourself a stack and go attack with these paranoid propaganda packs.
What are you waiting for? Go to paranoidamerican.com right now and get a paranoid propaganda pack.
You want the bamba? You want to cheer with the big boys? Some of the most kitty with the herb to get the other bed from the drug cup. Ah, hey, let me see how the thing goes.
Britney Spears, can we be saved? God, why is Satan controlling the universe?
The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing who our possibilities come true.
So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys.
Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, infiltrating cunning linguists, good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically, good guys. Conspiracies, sex, culture, making it's okay to change your thinking, good guys. Good guys, good guys, good guys. The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing woo. Our possibilities come true.
So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys.
Witches, widows, MAGA, mystics, infiltrating cunning linguists, good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically, good guys. Conspiracy, sex, culture, making it's okay to change your thinking, good guys. Good guys, good guys, good guys.
Big ups, good guys. Welcome to another Friday night edition of your favorite secret society. And we are excited you're all here. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, and do be kind enough to go over to X or Rumble and find someone here, because there will be a time that all the information will not be on YouTube anymore, and it might only be found on one of the other platforms that makes us pay a little for free speech. So, hi, good guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Communism.
Do you guys see you can hear Layla today?
I was just gonna say, yeah, we can hear Layla loud and clear.
Surprise. Finally, man. That was so fucking annoying. But
I'm
my
not going
old
to
mic
talk about
works.
the tad delay.
Yeah.
It's fine. You still look beautiful. I can hear you clean. It's amazing.
Love you guys.
This is now an ASMR show.
We are going to have that. We're going to eat salad later tonight. Doesn't salad seem gross? It seems wet.
When I hear salad, I think of like tossing the salad, like slang for eating pussy.
That's not slang for eating
That's
pussy.
not slang for eating pussy.
Yeah.
Off by about a
No,
half.
that's not what tossing the salad is.
In New York, yeah.
No, it's eating ass.
It's eating ass.
Licking the butthole.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yes, if somebody tosses your salad, they're eating your ass.
This whole time I'm thinking it's
Oh my god.
This whole time you've been asking guys in New York, like, but how good are you at tossing the salad?
Holy shit. Okay.
You're like, whoa.
Hey, you learn
They were
something
getting
new
off
every
easy.
day. You learn something new every day.
This is going to be, I figured since 9/11's Wednesday, it's a good topic, because most conspiracy theorists or people that don't believe in the mainstream media, when you ask them what is the moment that woke them up, it's something to do with 9/11 typically. So
Yeah. For a lot of people, I was one of them. And I was like, what? in the 9th grade, I think, probably even younger than that. 15 years old. There you go. The year before my brother died.
But the new wave of adults are people that were born before they were even like really cognizant of it. Like a
Yeah.
lot, like I've worked with a lot of like post 9/11 babies or people that were born in maybe 97 or 98 or something. So like what they were like 3 or 4, and they might have seen that other people were freaked out but had no personal connection or understanding of anything that was going on. So it's weird. Like the next big one was 2019. Like and it's almost like 2019 is the most recent. Then you've got the 2001. Before that, it was maybe OJ. I kind of throw OJ in with like this national trauma, but it was also maybe like a year or two after the Oklahoma City bombing, and before that, it was like what, the JFK assassination,
Waco.
Waco, yeah.
But right before that, they really had us like, and then right before Waco, because the 92 Twin Towers would be like another starting date. That was like their test run.
They're
And
like, "Whoa,
that
this was easier than we thought."
and that is where I would also say so many people give Alex Jones credence to predicting like the Twin Towers and Osama bin Laden and stuff. But that video, I always took it as him kind of being like you got Osama bin Laden over here with the Twin Towers. Like he was talking about an event that had actually already happened. And so everybody used it like, look at, he predicted this next one, because a lot of people forget that there was a terrorist attack in the Twin Towers in like 92 or 93, where there was a van similar to the Oklahoma City bombing, actually, where there was a van with explosives in it, a van with explosives.
Yep, they were on the radar, as they always are.
The rider. Do you think there is a plus or minus for the company that gets to be the rental company of the false flag? Like if they rent the Ryder truck versus the Penske, like does it pay to be the truck they rented?
I mean, I would love a reality where you could pay, like Coca-Cola, to decide like they want to have one of their semis packed full of fertilizer and parked outside a building. Not to be in on it, but just like have our branding. So, in fact, I had made an image that I kind of like for a while ago, but it's those ones where it's like a real image that if you squint, it looks like another one that they've been coming out with, and it's basically the Twin Towers exploding, but the smoke that's exploding out of it says Coca-Cola, and I've got one PM. I'm just wondering how cool would it be that you could like have corporate sponsorship of this massive global trauma.
I think there should be some kind of I mean, we're already there. Well, like, would it be hella distasteful for like Goodyear to put the blimp in, like the school shooting that happened just recently? Like, would it be hella distasteful for like a blimp to MetLife to just fly
Not
in a
distasteful if
circle?
you're using the new freshman Listerine.
I don't know. I think it's a little touchy, a little bit, just a little bit, because of the extent of the innocence. Because we know the conspiracy side, but then we know the innocence that was involved with that. So I don't know.
Sometimes I think
I'd be
less and
butthurt.
less, honestly. The more I play all of these false flags in my head, the more I think all the people that are talking to us are actors. Like, I do believe real human beings get harmed and die in false flags, but I also think so much of what we know and so many of the stories, even the heart-wrenching ones, are totally phony.
Mm.
The boy in the
I
red
mean,
bandana. I don't know if you guys heard that one.
the red bandana.
Yeah, he was like a kid who was a firefighter, like volunteer firefighter and everything. They wrote a whole like kids book about it. Like I taught it to my class when I was a teacher. But
Yeah, and I know
he
some Albanians that died.
he wore a red bandana, and like he was one of the people that went missing. Like he was a volunteer firefighter and went to school for business and was working in the World Trade Center, and he was going back up like the firefighters with his red bandana around his face and saving people, but he died.
Mm.
Oh,
I
I
mean,
can't remember who I talked to recently, but they were blowing my mind because I asked them. I had never heard this before, and I was asking them about 9/11, one of my favorite questions to get someone's temperature. And they went on a little bit of a tangent talking about how the firefighters, like a lot of the first responding firefighters, they were just running straight to the vaults and just like loading themselves up with gold and money and like all of the things that were sort of at that level, and they weren't necessarily putting. I had never heard that before. I thought it was wildly interesting.
it's very true, and I will tell you. We had a deceased woman when we lived in New York City, and my dad was, I believe, the superintendent of that building at the time. I was very young, and my father found the body, but he didn't go through her things, and the police even said, "You're stupid for not going through her things." I mean, she had old collector's coins, rare fucking jewels, gold coins, silver coins. I mean, thousands upon thousands of dollars. And the police, you know what they did? Took everything, and not for evidence, for themselves. And this is like a thing. He's like, yeah, anytime that happens, pop, 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 we fill our pockets. But now it's harder because they have the body cam. So it's a little.
Well, if a person doesn't have a power of attorney, that's what happens is the state takes everything because there's no person to pass it on to. So like it technically all belongs to the state at that point.
All we
But
had
in this
was
case, it was
safety.
going to like the a little bit more micro than the state. It was going into
Yeah.
like Officer
Yeah.
Dan's pocket. Yeah.
Well, because they know the law. They're like, it
Yeah.
doesn't belong to anyone, so take it.
We had safety deposit boxes, like the keys. But could we have access to it? Absolutely not, because it's not the identification, you know? She has to like sign it over to somebody for us to have access to those boxes. So lucky whoever gets to, you know, have fun in there, see what's inside. Tons of them. I don't know, like 7, 8 of them with God knows what inside.
You know what's crazy about the safety deposit boxes is that most of them are not flame retardant. So that happened at a bank here. Like the bank burnt and people lost all their shit.
Aren't they supposed to be flame retardant?
I don't think they have to be.
Huh.
If somebody ever says, "You're so retarded," you should say, "Flame retarded." It's like the only time you're allowed to be retarded.
I like regarded. It sounds so much more like it's got some elevation to it.
Regarded?
Regarded.
I'm often regarded. I'm disregarded.
I'm
Did
pissed
you-
that people like don't like the word anymore, and I like using that word, and it's just sad what this world's turning to. Oh my god, it's so offensive! Don't use that word. Well, I'm gonna fucking use it. Retarded.
Well,
I like the
aren't
word.
they just always going to have another one in like 5 or 10 years? Like whatever
Yeah.
takes its place, that's going to be the next one, and then something replaces that, and it's just going to go forever until all of a sudden you can say retard again because that's going to be like the new one that the great grandkids hadn't heard yet.
Mm-hmm. And that's sad. Deleting words, making them new again.
So in the way of like the false flag of 9/11, it's interesting that the day before we all know Donald Rumsfeld comes out and it's like, hey, by the way, we can't keep tabs of like $2 trillion. Oopsie day. And then I was thinking of other false flags. Has something like this happened every time before? So they almost use this event. They know they're going to tell us this and use this event to bury it. But for some reason, they still have to tell us. So it's almost like part of the ritual for them to tell us, use the event to bury it, and then they do the dance where all of them, we've seen all the Sinclair broadcasting now and how quickly they just propagate. Everybody has the eyes to see it. But back then, how many times the newscasters and the president and everybody, accidentally messed up Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein. Like it was on accident to get us to just go to war with brown people.
Who did it start with essentially? Like, what was the first country? Was it Palestine, Israel, Palestine, or was another country involved before there? Or was it Iran or Persia
For what?
before for the United States to enter and start these so-called wars of terrorism, war on terrorism? Like,
Well,
who did it
because the
start with
terrorism was different
initially?
than the first Desert Storm.
Yeah.
But
Like
that's
Kuwait.
what the whole thing about it is, that it was like there was other terrorist events, and terrorist in the same way was almost equivalent to a war on obesity or a war on drugs, because it could go on forever. Like there's no such thing as like a nation of terror that we're going to one day defeat that nation. And so it's just like, let's just blanketly give money to this invisible
Well,
enemy.
the best piece 9/11, even Storm, but like basically like the Osama bin Laden narrative. It's so poetic because we created that monster because originally they were fighting the Russians essentially, and we armed Osama bin Laden. Like he was our guy, and he was the liaison. We racked him up with all kinds of weapons and training and everything you could imagine, and then we just kind of abandoned them, and they were kind of like, that was they still wanted help, I guess, and expected more political capital. And we were really just like, here's a whole bunch of firepower and training, and that ended up festering decades. And then all of a sudden, he gets blamed. Oh, I don't know if I ever really bought that. I would assume that if he would have taken credit for it, and every time it came up, he said, "No, I wish that I had phrasing because I don't think he's." That he didn't take credit for because he didn't do it, and it seemed. But that was, you're asking like, where did it start? If you ignore like Iran and the whole like coup that happened in like decades prior, but this one in particular, Osama bin Laden, like we created that dude, and we kind of created the whole concept of Al Qaeda. Like Al Qaeda was just a CIA term for all these loose groups that they could kind of put together, and then as if there was some kind of coordination between all these weird little tribal groups calling themselves Al Qaeda. Like none of this information was ever true, but that's the official narrative. That's the one that kids learn about, that you gotta memorize to get an A on the test and everything.
I look back at some of these interviews that they had with Osama bin Laden and knowing the information that I know now, I'm like, why is he speaking Arabic? He knows English, and the guy is asking him questions in fucking English. I'm like, this is such a beautiful script and the most insane like way that you could put it together, but it's always America. Why? I don't know. Why America chose to go in the Middle East to begin with is probably, we all know, the greater Israeli project. It's known, it's been known, it's talked about. They all warned about it. All these characters from Gaddafi to Yasser Arafat to all these other guys. I just can't think of the names right now, but they've all said it. It's for one agenda. Everyone has to have a certain type of bank in their country. And if you don't, they're coming for you. Who is the they?
Bank of America?
JP Morgan?
Somebody? Maybe we don't even know their name.
It's interesting that the television would tell you that the two world powers that be are Russia, the Soviet Union, or the United States. And they've both tried to conquer Afghanistan, and to no avail. It really makes me believe, like no other place on the planet, that is an anthill and they cannot penetrate it. It goes
Yeah.
so deep and so ancient. The tunnels are everywhere. You name a city, I will show you tunnels in that city. Like they are everywhere. And so the idea of Afghanistan never being penetrated, their history is the oldest. It's the most sacred, saved maybe, that they've fought it, because we say all this stuff that they they want the history, they want the relics.
They want the
So
knowledge. Yeah.
they want the power behind these things. And so I just got to believe that what we see above is nothing. It's like a cave that would make the Hopi Indian cave look like your house.
Mm. Yeah.
I think it's next level. And I think in that way of look weakest when you're the strongest kind of thing, you would never put your riches on the outside like the United States does. Afghanistan seems like maybe all their riches are underneath.
Mm.
Yeah, America's good at show. Like in World War I, we had the Great White Fleet. We had like the biggest fleet ever, like the Navy, to show our prowess, just there was no point to it. It wasn't even necessary.
Something weird.
Well, that's the concept of triumph. Like Trump, triumph. Like triumph itself was like the ones where like the military gets out and they all do the marching and
Thomas.
put on their.
Hey, Thomas. Sorry to cut you off, but you keep breaking up, or is it just me?
No, it is, but I keep hoping it's going to clear out. And then he was on a roll with the
Is it my
last thing, and the
connection or is it my
wording was clear
microphone?
enough.
It's like your
Connection.
internet connection.
Oh, I
It's
can't
like
do
it's
much about
laggy.
that. I get
Okay.
fiber in a couple days.
Ooh, I know. I was like, "Ugh, I might get Skynet. I mean, Starlink.
Oh. We're all moving up, huh?
Well, I
Slowly.
just am over, like, me and Comcast we're older enemies than me and Hillary Clinton, me and Comcast. Like,
App T-Mobile.
the idea that I have to kowtow to them for good internet is wild.
Mm.
But it's the only good internet. It's the only good internet option in my area.
So, do you guys remember, back when we were kids, every single scenario where a plane was hijacked, it always was as a Middle Eastern man?
Abbie, there were planes when you were a kid? Just
I grew up near like Naval Air Station Fallon, man. I probably heard more sonic booms than anyone.
Just teasing. Just teasing everyone. I'm older than Abbie.
Yeah.
DB Cooper.
Was
we
it
ain't
just
old, bitch?
Well, yeah, when they
71 or
hijacked
something.
planes, it was mainly Arabs, wasn't it? Or
Like
was it like
every TV
portrayed
show,
as
every
Arabs?
portrayal was always Arabs? Yes, always.
Every movie I've seen.
Everyone.
You're right. Now that
9/11.
you mention it, when we were growing up, it seemed like there was a whole bunch of terrorists would always take planes
Yeah.
and they would always hold them hostage. And there was a lot of
And
plane
buses.
crashes, like
Yeah.
in the Potomac or in the Bay or in the it seemed like there was always a plane crash where people were having to swim to shore, and then we had to watch a movie of the week to explain to us this is really what happened. So you don't ask another version of the narrative.
Mm-hmm. Oh my
There was
god.
a lot of plane crashes, but then you think of it in an insurance way. Of course, it seems like every however many years it takes, because it takes them a while to pay off these planes, they don't want to have to just eat the cost. No one wants some old plane. So then it's like almost behooves them insurance wise if they have a plane wreck or a terrorist thing or something like this. So then they can get insurance money to upgrade their plane fleet somewhere.
They got their parachute packs and they're getting ready to jump out after they do it.
That's just DB Cooper. That's
it's just Hollywood.
I don't know. DB Cooper might not be Hollywood, but he could be CIA.
I think he was intelligence somehow.
What if DB Cooper, the thing that was never talked about with DB Cooper is somebody on the plane had something that the government or the evil they or us being time travelers, we just needed one item. I think this might be a subplot for something. We like a time traveler would just go and they would just be like, "Look, dude, we need one item off this thing. I don't care what else you steal, but you got to get me that pocket watch." So like it would be
But
all be a setup. Seems like a bigger
the
story.
bird was
Say it again.
money was never spent.
Didn't something in the last 5 years somebody said they found like some of DB Cooper's money in the Oregon woods?
Yeah, I
$6,000.
think so.
$6,000.
DB
And wasn't somewhere
Cooper,
burn up or something?
and there was another old dude, and he buried a real life treasure, I think in the Rockies.
The silver? The guy who's all the silver coins?
Yeah, but I think somebody found it or said it was a
Yeah.
hoax. One or the other. One of the
They
two
found it, I
happened.
think.
Yeah, but I was like, "Damn."
Like, and it was worth so much money because it was just a bunch of silver, like just silver change. Just like quarters and nickels and dimes and stuff, but it was, or not nickels, but all the ones that were minted in silver.
Thomas, what did you do a podcast on the other day?
Cooper.
Oh, what day did you
Oh,
do DB Cooper on?
We did it on Wednesday, but the most interesting part of it. Tell me if I'm right.
You
The
are.
part is that it might have been the first transgender in Washington.
oh, shit.
DB Cooper?
DB Cooper. It might have been an ex-Marine turned gender librarian.
Wow. He turned into his fetish, probably.
I feel like DB Cooper, though, if you look at the drawings and stuff, that could totally be a woman. Here, I'll
So
pull
maybe
it
it
up.
was
Yeah,
a
pull
woman
it
the whole
up.
time.
It could totally. It's like such a weird face.
So the man was the alias.
It was
Now that
an
I'm looking at
it was an actual man that had converted to a
that went
woman,
transgender.
but wanted to prove to themselves that they could still do it.
Look at that creepy little face.
That is supposed to be a woman?
No, well, he
Oh.
turned transgender. He was
Oh.
transgender.
Interesting.
Kind of does look feminine.
Another crazy thing I think about 9/11 all the time is like in the same way as like let's say we just wanted one item and the whole DB Cooper is all just a huge what if, who done it, whatever. They worry about every other item and every other thing and where he went, and nobody ever asked who the other people were on the plane and what else they might have been carrying. And so in the 9/11 of it all, I'm like, what if we wanted to quiet a whole fraternal order of firefighters? Or at least certain companies of firefighters. To me, anytime I talk about these tunnels, I got to think the fire department and fire inspectors, they know so much about the old building codes that nobody else in the town would know. And it would get passed down through the departments, and they're a fraternal order the same way as everything else, where they have their own secrets and their own brotherhood and their own trust. So something about that whole thing with it's like they could have kept the firefighters out of there if they wanted. They knew when they were going to pull the buildings. So if
Yeah.
everything was all predicted and planned, it's just like to me, certain companies being called at certain times and the people that showed up and like how they're like some people ended up in the basement, like the floor fell through of like building 7 and they were like, we ended up in the basement.
Mhm.
I don't know, something it just feels like it was a purposeful assassination of the firemen.
For why? Like just to get rid of the secrets, hide what they knew, and not let their
Maybe.
secrets spread out?
Maybe it has to do with the underground tunnels. Maybe they knew too much about that.
That's what I'm thinking. But also out of all those firemen, the thing we know about them most is Pete Davidson.
What?
That he's their kid, that one of their kids. He's the kid of a firefighter that died in 9/11. That's the thing I know most about all the firefighters that all
Interesting.
perished that day. One of them was Pete Davidson's dad. So I got to
That's
think
right.
that ritual paid off in spades because he got Ariana Grande, who had her own false flag. He got Kim Kardashian, and she's like the head witch in a coven of Hollywood. Like, he's been through it.
When she
Pete
also started
Davidson.
with OJ, and OJ was one of
Hmm.
those national traumatic events.
Yeah.
You know, when you kind of think about like this realm as a motherboard idea, and you think of the Twin Towers and how they went down, it almost seems like reality kind of glitched when that happened, because reality wasn't the same after that happened. Things just fucking changed, for me at least, and how I remember the world being. Like after that moment, something just fucking changed in this realm. And it's like, if you think of it as a motherboard theory, like a computer, like you're fucking with a piece of the motherboard and glitch whatever system is running at the moment. I don't know. Just seems strange, that whole scenario to me.
If you were to do a spell,
Mhm.
and you were to put all this red energy in one building and all this blue energy in the other building, and then you attach them in some sort of magical way, and you had a ritual done where you had a performer maybe tie a rope between both of them and walk between one and the other, and maybe they even pushed that for us to know it again in our zeitgeist, that we'd know all about the guy who walked between the Twin Towers. And so somewhere in that Lucian, I think that day, in the same way he said, those towers were built for me to walk across them. Those towers were built to destroy. And he was part of the ritual in the same way. And so
Mm.
if he attached that somehow in this way of blue and red, I think destroying that day is where our country, it's the ice cubes that start to piece it apart. So when we roll into 2012, we're shattered. And by the time we get to 2016, we're not a country anymore. And so I think by 2020, we were supposed to be a lot further away from each other than we are.
Mm.
We
Well, we
weren't
were
supposed to
supposed
have
to
a Reagan president.
they were trying to whittle us away, because I remember in the early 2000s it was avian, and then it turned into swine, and then it turned like there was all these other attempts,
Yeah.
and it was crazy because I had friends that were like stocking up on Tamiflu, and I was just like, come on. and it was just like in 2019, everyone was like looking at me like I was the crazy person for not stocking up on Tamiflu and going to Walgreens every like 4 or 5 months to get whatever was going to protect us from was killing the Chinese chickens and the Chinese pigs.
Yeah, I remember everybody lining up for the H1N1 vaccine, and oops. Anyway.
Bing, 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 bing. You said the word
Yeah,
of the day.
I did. Abbie just got
The
fined.
juice.
Shit.
But man, I mean,
I know. Every time you say
I was
vaccine
shamed by
from
my
now on, just
friends
say
for not getting that
vaccine
for my
tranny.
kids.
Just like say, just lean in. Vaccine tranny retard.
Gay.
Yeah. Vaccine gay tranny retard.
Bibbidi bobbidi boop. Jibbity jabbity juice.
Nig.
But then, like, right here in this town I live in, like 3 people from that same thing, the H1N1 of it all, they all got the Guillain-Barré syndrome, where they were, like, paralyzed.
Oh,
Where
like half
half
their
your
face.
face. Yeah.
No. That's
No?
Bell's palsy.
Oh, that's right.
Guillain-Barré is where they can't lift their legs off the ground. The bottom half of your body is paralyzed.
I knew a
3 people in this tiny town.
I knew a
Bad batch.
couple of very strong, healthy, traveling dudes. Like one of them, like biked from, Canada to Mexico. The other one was like, like traveled the world. And it's so wild that even like very liberal people I know, I get travel juice to go to other countries. So they're like, you're gonna go to India, get some travel juice. You're gonna go here, make sure you go get the travel juice from that country. If you've traveled here, don't come in this doctor's office. That kind of stuff. I know guys that got travel juice, and they got that where all of a sudden their bottom half of their body stopped working, and they were like, maybe you drank something, maybe you were peed in some water. They'd like try to go through all these things. And I know 2 people who were not sexually active that got sexually transmitted diseases from those. That I will say it for them. They were like, I don't know, maybe a few years before and it lay dormant. That shit don't work that way. Like, like the more I just studied.
Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Good job. Good job. Keep doing it. Good. Do it. Do it. Fucking idiots, bro. Fucking idiots.
I
Fucking
know, I'm
idiots.
trying
I
to think of
swear.
something to call
Layla,
it.
they're very, very programmed.
I mean, to the point where like they won't even question it. It's like, oh, tons of newborn videos that I'm seeing all over fucking my feed. Oh my god, my child died out of nowhere, or whatever these fucking sicknesses are, and then I'm like, oh, did you get your child, jibbity jabbity juiced? And yeah, but they won't question that ever. Like, no, it's something totally different. My mom kissed my child and my mom killed my baby, kind of thing. Like, no, how about the fact that you're injecting caca in your newborn
This is a
child's
perfect
veins?
time to make
Love it.
sure that you go to Secret S of Good G on X and make sure you follow us or follow any of the people here, or go and find our Rumble, because our days on YouTube are
YouTube is
short-lived.
like teetering. It's like we almost
And
drove the car off the cliff, and it's like was the
I
scene
know,
from
but when we
Jurassic
go
Park.
off the cliff, Layla and I are Thelma and Louise. We're gonna hold hands and do it
Ooh.
together.
Bad, like really badly. I can't wait.
But part of that too that you're talking about, Layla, I think I don't know this because it wasn't reported on, but I think that maybe that just never made the news back in the day. And now that everyone can kind of provide their own news, and even like boomers and everyone else knows how to take, oh my God, look what's happening to me. And they put it online, and now all of a sudden it's everywhere. That's kind of a new phenomenon. Like even 10 years ago, the capability was there, but it was still sort of early adopter. Now, like grandparents and everybody is able to do this. So now if something happens that normally wouldn't have gotten any coverage, now it can actually see the light of day.
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, you will like give them the logic behind what you're saying, and it's still like denied. No way, Big Pharma would never. I'm like, y'all, are you serious?
But these same people, if you just tell them you could walk for 2 hours a week, split it up any way you want to split it up. Just 2 hours a week, take a walk and drink some water. But instead, they'd rather take Ozempic. Like, legitimately, it isn't rocket science what we're talking about. Everybody in the world wants some quick fix. You know
The
how many
magic pill,
people are
yeah.
on statin drugs, and all they have to do is take a walk and maybe eat a little tiny bit different. They could probably cut one item out. They could probably keep smoking their cigarettes, cut some food item out, but instead they're just like, I want statin drugs,
Yeah.
which are the
Yeah.
worst.
Because
you watch-
a magic
oh.
pill is easier than having to deny yourself something.
Yeah, they show you in The Giver. Once he stops like letting that stuff go into his arm, he gets to actually finally see truth of reality. What do you think that they're blocking from the day that we're born? They're like putting shit on your eyes, Like what do you think they're blocking us from seeing? Like, is this something permanent that goes into our eyes that doesn't let us see the different realms that exist and the multi-layers that exist in this realm? I asked, you never know.
It's funny that the vitamin K is such a hard k, and it's not the vitamin Q, which would be such a softer qua.
It's more demure.
It's more demure. It's more intentional. It's very mindful.
It was silver nitrate that they used to put in newborns' eyes, but it says that they don't use it anymore because it can cause serious eye damage. Silver nitrate.
Like pretty much anything that they used to do, like you just wait 50 years and it's like, oh no, we don't do that anymore. Like, I mean, I remember having to go back through and getting all the mercury fillings out and like replaced and all this. And I'm sure whatever they replace that with, they're gonna be like, oh, that's basically asbestos in your mouth. We need to get that out of there.
Probably.
One patch for Secret Society of Good Guys. I want shout out to the Mercury Filling Club.
If you can still bite down on tinfoil and feel an electrical current.
Ooh, man, that was the worst feeling. Like a
Oh,
fork.
shit. Oh my gosh, that's still a nightmare for me to this day.
Yeah, that nerve feeling. Oof.
But sometimes I wonder, like, I always try to ask people because I'm like, is that Mercury the reason you're woke?
Is
Like,
that
is that
why?
why?
What if that's why? Like, I could hear on my cordless phone, I could hear my neighbors sometimes, like just picking up and listening to the dial tone, and I could hear her end of a conversation.
Do you think
I
that's
couldn't
what it
hear the
was?
other end.
Do you think
What if it
that's what
was
that
my
was?
feelings?
Yeah. Because I remember like those cordless phones that we had,
Yeah.
and you're just talking on the phone, and randomly you'll have like a random fucking voice, and you're like, "Did you hear that?" It's
They
like,
can't hear you at all,
what the
but you can
fuck?
totally hear the whole conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Lucille
oh,
Ball
my.
claimed we talked about this, right? But Lucille
Yeah.
Ball claimed that she could pick up like secret radio waves with her fillings.
So maybe all you had to do is like use your radio and your face close enough to it, and you could actually pick up conversations.
by Russians.
Oh,
Which I
yeah.
do think it's funny. I want to talk about it real quick because I do
Let's
think
talk
it's
about
like
sex, baby.
a funny thing because a whole bunch of people, my homegirls were like all yelling about this girl, being like, "This girl is such a fed. Like she's so fake." What's her name? Laura Chin or Lauren Chin? Hold on, I'll pull her up. But she really is. She's like a spy. And it's like all coming out now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this would be so fun. Or Lauren Chin. It would be so fun if like all these people all of a sudden where it's like, oh, Anderson Vanderbilt is still CIA. Like if they actually started to tell us the truth about these people.
Who is this?
She's a right-wing influencer. But everybody is like, they're calling her a right-wing influencer, but she's a right-wing influencer in the same way that I say Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist, or the same way the Twin Towers, like it was just put there to destroy. She's put there to make right-wing influencers look crazy. Or, Alex Jones is put there to make like conspiracy theorists look crazy. So everybody's like, she's a shill, almost like she's an agent provocateur. But people were calling her out from the jump, and now it's all coming out that she's been taking money from Russian sources.
Wow, another
Because
cunt.
yeah, but I think little anons and it's not from the reporters that we knew of yesteryear, the Walter Cronkite sitting down and doing it. It's because of people like us that are like tippity tappity and following her little history back and being like, who is this? Which, speaking of history back, Haktua girl.
Mhm.
People are saying that she has an erased history and she's actually like maybe like Israeli intelligence and all of the accents fake, and she's like an Ashkenazi Jew.
And they snuck her in there out of a BJ joke, and it was like, we're gonna get this chick.
Well,
We're
she
gonna
has
make her
this
say a BJ joke. She's gonna
no
blow up.
like she has this whole podcast and everything coming out, and everybody's saying that Haktua is like the sound that Jews make to spit on the world. Like,
well, not the Jews, the Zionists.
I mean, I thought she was just spitting on a deck.
This is I just heard this conspiracy theory in the last 48 hours that she's like a totally fake plant of a person, and everything about her, like even like I guess Howie Mandel made her do a swab test of her DNA, and they were like, oh wow, like she's like 97% Ashkenazi Jew. And they're like, did your grandma like find you on somewhere? Like, they're like,
what's
everyone
going on
here is
here?
Jewish. We're all Hollywood. Like something about this is off. So I don't know. Maybe it's all very organic, and she was just a pop song that was found under a rock, and it was not Bernie Mittens at all. It was natural, and we all really thought Haktua was entertaining and not pushed on us by Bill Maher.
Man,
but
it's not even Jew though. It's
This
not
is
like
just but the word
yeah.
was
It's like
oh, and here's the other funny thing that just myself. Her last name's Welch, like Welch's Jew.
Welch's juice.
Jews. Sorry, that's why. That's the only reason I called it that. It had a finishing joke for it, and I almost forgot the finishing joke. Thanks for
That was
reminding me.
cute.
Sipping on gin and juice.
Yeah,
I
thank
found
you.
something I thought this was interesting. And if I already brought it
Oh
up,
my God,
you can
gin and
stop me.
Jews.
Gin and
That is
juice.
song, Thomas. Gin and
Gin and
Jews.
Jews? We can get there.
Snoop Dogg, baby.
I found out
Don't
recently
doggy dog.
that Welch's they got popular because no one really knew how to make grape juice for the longest time. Like everyone knew how to make wine, but it was actually really difficult to take the alcohol out and just have grape juice left over. And that's where Welch's figured it out. They figured out how to make grape juice without getting kids drunk. And that was kind of what started like the entire Welch's dynasty.
I will tell you though, the best grape juice you could ever fucking drink in your life is the Kadim Jewish brand kosher fucking. Oh my god, it is the best grape juice you could buy. I'm
If
If
you
I
had
if
a
I want grape
church,
juice though, I just get Manischewitz and I just drink Manischewitz.
but if you had a church, this is always
so
my
good.
the best grape juice I ever had, and it might have been that. It was the blood of Christ somewhere. And I was a little kid and I was like, I want to get in that line so bad, get some more blood of Christ, because that is the best grape juice that I ever had. And I wonder if it was that grape juice.
I learned it from being a Montessori Jewish school teacher for like 2 years, and they taught me like the whole
You'd be
ritual
like-
of Shabbat and like how to make challah and all of that. And they're like, "Here, you're supposed to eat this with the challah," and I drank it, and I fell in love with it. It's the best fucking grape juice ever. Kadim. Shout out,
Kadim.
sponsor us, Kadim.
Yeah, we need some kosher grape juice sponsor.
For real.
But if
For
you
real.
don't in time, it'll be a salt packet. I love the salt packet. I'm going to give you guys my code anyway. You guys
Yeah.
all need to drink the salt packets. I haven't had a migraine since I've been drinking the salt. Anyway, yeah, I love it.
So
9/11.
yeah, 9/11. I feel like there's another 9/11 coming. It's 23 years anniversary. 23 is always a big year. And I
23
feel
is
like,
dead.
yeah, so I feel like this year is going to be a major year for another huge psyop to distract all of us. So keep a lookout. I feel like it's coming, but
What did you see that they're pushing back Trump's whatever his court shit? I forget what it's
yeah,
called.
the lady
Till
who
after the
he doesn't
election?
know. Yeah.
Yeah, the hush money trial.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna
I
let
don't
the
know
election
this
happen, I guess.
lady. I don't know this lady. So, yeah, he's saying he don't know her. I believe him.
I don't know. I just think it sets up precedent for us that ex-presidents get tried and we get to watch it on TV.
Current presidents
Yeah.
get tried.
Yeah.
I feel like that might actually be a new dynamic that's starting to open up. That the second you become president, now you're in court the entire time, or at least you've got to have a whole lineup of lawyers that are just ready to go to court because everyone's going to come out of the woodwork.
Well, you're supposed to get some sort of presidential immunity typically.
Yeah.
So that's the big thing with Trump is that once
He's lucky if
that
he gets
is
snipers on the roof.
if I know he's lucky if he gets a lady that can run.
Figure out how to holster a gun.
Hey lady. Hey lady, pick up the pace. There's a sniper on the roof. Hey lady, that's always if I've hit my rock bottom with a female in any way, shape, or form, I will hey lady or hey lady, get your shit together. Like
What-
it doesn't matter how well or not well I know someone.
Wasn't there another attempt on Donald Trump at another rally recently, like last week, and they took him down like before he could even try? Like he wanted to go and attack him, and they fucking tackled him down. And some guy, liberal, probably communist, Nazi, and they call Republicans Nazi, and I don't get it. I don't get that. But yeah, recently another attempt, but they're not going to tell everybody because why? Why are we going to tell you?
Here's a weird thing. What if, like, you know how like the one eye is like, oh, look, the all-seeing eye, or the eye of Odin, or the eye of Providence, or all the eye of Ra, or the eye of blah 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 blah, blah, all the things
I
that
have
they
said,
say the
yeah.
eye. Yeah. What if Nazis hated any of that? They were like, stab that eye, stab that eye. They were like, I don't want that eye to see.
Line these motherfuckers.
Yeah, so they were like Nazis.
It was a long wind up.
Sorry, I'm on one today. Like, I don't even know where
I
this
like
is
it.
coming from.
It's
It
interesting.
could be the concentrate in my joints. It's
The
interesting.
concentrate's helping you to concentrate.
Abbie, thank you. That is she's like, I like it. It's interesting.
Let's go with it, man. Just keep going. You're on a roll. With your cute little jokes and everything.
We did not
Good
see it
joke.
coming.
You did not see that one coming. Les, be serious. You did not see that one coming. No one saw the Nazi lesbian tonight coming. No one
Oh my
sees the
God.
fourth right if it's all lesbians, is all I'm saying. Just kidding. Don't take
Wow.
me down.
Nazi in Albanian is we mourn. That's interesting. Nazi. We mourn. What were they mourning? But I'm not saying that's what it means, but that's what it means in my language. Nazi.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I
let's see,
don't know.
speaking of Nazis, do you think Bush was ultimately behind 9/11?
No.
I don't think he was, but he was part of it. The cover up.
I
The
think
reason.
Bush, they even said, like, it's best if you don't know. And he knew something was coming. He didn't know what day. He didn't know when. They put him in plain view doing something as good as he could be doing, because behind the scenes, the most Dick Chaney and Rumsfeld and who all these nameless, faceless people
What
were
about the
about
whole
It would've been
ritual on
proxy for-
TV? The whole ritual that they had with the kids in the classroom and kite and hit and building and plane and ba-da-da. And then boom,
I
all of
think
a
he
sudden.
could be doing all that stuff without having any idea what's on the other. I just think the less people that know, the better. And he just was like, he just doesn't seem like, it seemed like it was Dick Cheney's presidency. They just
Yeah.
needed a face.
But what about Papa Bush? Because I always figured that Dick Cheney was just sort of like a proxy for Papa Bush.
I always felt like Papa Bush never liked Bush Jr. all that much. Like Bush
Yeah.
Jr. was just a face so Papa Bush could do what he wanted.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a lot of presidents had zero power while they were in office, but I feel like Bush Jr. had the least amount of, like, I feel like they were just like, go play golf. They just sit him to do things. That's why I even think it was almost a ritual and a mocking of him a little bit, for him to be sitting in a classroom with children reading to kids.
Yeah.
When this all went down and they were pulling this stuff and flying plane, like they were arranging chess pieces, and I feel like that part, like, then he had to go out and be mad because he had to really sell it so that we're gonna go after him. He had to be mad to sell that part.
Yeah.
He didn't have
to
that
the
in
point
him. He was
where he
mad
had
at,
shoes thrown at him. Pa-da-pa, pa. That was fucking iconic. Honestly.
was.
That was fucking missed. Missed again.
that was so good, the sound and the movement, Thomas.
I know, that was really cool.
I wish I had a little shoe that flew across from Layla. Oh my gosh, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. I just think Bush Jr. was like he was supposed to be Jeb. He was always supposed to be Jeb. And I think the fact that Trump even pulled the plug on Jeb, that was like, what?
Please clap.
Like boring Jeb. What a perfect like marketing. Oh my gosh, you just took the air out of the balloon.
So wasn't it his father who made the speech about the world? No, he wasn't the first one. It's probably who was the first one talking about the New World Order? Who
Yeah,
was the
Bush. That
first?
was Bush Senior.
Bush, right?
Spoke about New World Order in one of his speeches.
He wasn't the first, though, right?
First
There was a
Bush?
whole
No.
book about it.
The
a long
first
time before
president
that.
to ever speak of it. No, I think it was Kennedy, maybe. Yeah, I think it was Kennedy who made a speech like that.
What would be an impression of Kennedy? Do you have one?
No, not me. No.
Because all those Kennedys have a
That accent.
But it's Boston, right? Boston
yeah,
Irish
I think that
accent.
was pretty good, Layla.
I
Even
wasn't
the
saying
idea that
anything.
you had that like na 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 na.
I can't.
They also say with 9/11, when people look back at all the pictures of it, that everything blue's still there. I think Layla's brought that up a few times on other episodes of
Yeah.
Secret Society of Good Guys.
Blue cars, recycling bins, all that good stuff just left there. Ironically, maybe there was HARP involved in this, man.
That's what I am of.
To ignite the fucking, what was that chemical that burned the steel that they found? The
Thermite.
Yeah.
There you go. Maybe just to activate it.
Look at how much shit we all know. I feel like flat earth about 9/11. Like
For real.
thermite in my brain, like it was just like, oh yeah, because I do heavy construction. No, like it's because we all research the shit out of these buildings. I'm to a point now, and if you would have told me this shit, I don't even know, maybe even 5 years ago, I probably did tell people, shut the fuck up. I don't even think there were planes that day. I'm one of these
Yeah.
people now.
I know.
Like, I think
I
Flight
don't either.
93 is completely fake. I think all of those phone calls are all CGI made on computer. They're all this voice isn't even real or an amalgamation of voices. There's a reason they had to push all those Hollywood films out, like Passengers and Flight 93 and the really close and makes no sound or whatever Tom Hanks did.
Yeah,
feel
because
like
if
my
I know I'm
grandfather now
about to
made me
fucking
movies.
die, I'm not going to be talking like most of those phone calls on the phone. Hi, baby. I'm just letting you know I love you so. No, I'm going to be like, I'm going to fucking die. We're like, come on.
I'm going to be real honest. Do you think, and I'm going to be real honest, this is even before 9/11. I'm going to tell you, I haven't changed so much as a person. I don't think Layla's probably changed so much as a person. Thomas, Abbie. Do you even think with the four of us, a motherfucker with a box cutter's taking down our plane?
No.
Fuck no.
There were certain things about it.
I would
even
die
then
before I let that
that
happen.
I was like, a
Like,
box cutter?
come at me
Bitch,
with your
cut
box
the
cutter,
fat of my
motherfucker. I'll
arm.
take you
Oh,
down.
ow. I'm like, no
Yeah.
one could wrap their motherfucking jacket around their arm and just go at that motherfucker. I don't understand.
Or use your jacket and fucking hit the shit out of him. Come
Or
on.
just
Yeah, I
turn
You're
on the
fucking first.
Marilyn Monroe effect
Women with
and
their
just
fucking
like
handbag.
try and seduce the guy and just give him some looks and be like, hey, like let's go to the back and concoct
You're
a
like
plan.
72 virgins or Mile High
Let's
Club.
do it, baby. Come on, let's go. And then take them down. Art of seduction works, man. That's their weakness for men.
There's so many other parts of 9/11 too, though. Like, even if someone's hung up on the Twin Towers or even on Building 7, but then it's like the NORAD stand-down order, which in itself is a complete anomaly. The fact that that same morning at the same time they were running a simulation that basically recreated the exact events as they were happening. There was a recording of someone like, wait, is this part of the simulation or is this a real thing? And then 93, it sounds crazy of like, I don't even believe there was a plane. But if you can start at the Pentagon, right? I don't believe that was a plane. It doesn't seem like that
It
was a
wasn't.
plane, right?
No.
No.
So if you can accept that, then you go to Flight 93, which was the one that went down in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and that one is so crazy. This it's been so hard to find anything in this. I don't know if it's been scrubbed or if it's like false memory syndrome, but
No, it's been scrubbed.
it landed directly into a collapsed salt mine that had been turned into like a man-made lake. The entire plane. I mean, just imagine like this is like the ultimate hole-in-one shot. Like what are the chances, other than 100%, but that this plane it disappears, right? Explodes, but all the chunks of it go directly into this little tiny lake, and now all of a sudden you've got this excuse to have like people go down there and come up and pull whatever the hell they want to pull up and say, oh, that's this chunk of whatever. It's so nuts because when you see that from the aerial shot, right, you see this whole like almost like a scorched mark, and you look at it and you're like, oh, I guess that's this big scorched mark from the plane. No, that was already there.
People believe it.
The plane actually hit that scorched mark. Isn't that weird? Isn't that just like the ultimate coincidence?
People believe it.
And people, they didn't find one piece of Flight 93 bigger than a phone book.
But they found unscathed passports, like completely pristine passports.
And so I just believe I'm more into the energy weapon of it all now knowing what we know about frequency, sound, how with like some thermite, they could heat up the inside, they could gel every piece of metal in that building with heat, and then the like thermite could have just everything else could have set off from that point on to make it actually look like a free fall collapse. Architects against 9/11, nobody believes this thing was a thing. Like nobody believes it.
Well, even if you go into the whole Malaysian Airlines of it all, the Flight 370 that just disappeared, nobody knows where it went. Like, how hard is it for them if we can have a whole flight of people just disappear? Like, did Flight 93 even happen? Was that even an airplane? Was it just taken somewhere, hijacked, put under a fucking underground tunnel?
Yeah, and if we have satellites in space, like they say we do, and thousands and thousands and thousands of them, wouldn't we be able to detect them with today's technology? Yeah, but we can't. Why? I don't know.
I just think recreating a memory for people too. Humans are not that great with memory. Everybody likes to think, well, I got a good memory. That's not as true as you think. And especially under traumatic situations. And so the way that trauma worked on 9/11 with all of us, everybody ran home. They finally got to a safe space. And then we all got repeated the version of it they wanted to see over and over and over and over and over again. And then it was like, people assumed I remember that day. There were so many people that created extra versions of memories that had nothing to do with it. Some people like they lived in Nebraska and their dad died of a heart attack on 9/12 and they're like, yeah, my dad died after 9/11. People are like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Just to be a part of it.
Yeah, everybody. That's exactly how I feel about the whole lockdown situation with the whole thing that will not be mentioned. But that's how I feel about it. Everybody was so quick because if you just had the sniffles, that's not exciting. But if you can swab your nose and get some whole accolades, that's so exciting. Like everyone's like, oh my gosh, you caught the plague. I hope you survive.
You survived.
Once they started doing the Q-tips in the nose, I'm like, I'm out.
That's one of my number one outs. The only thing that would have made it worse if they would have told me, can we swab your back of your throat? That would have been the only thing that would have made it worse. Like sticking the shit up my nose. Anyone that knows me, I have a nose phobia.
Throw a humiliation ritual in here on top of it all. Thank you.
Yeah, well, can you just ask to like play with my back fat while you're at it?
No one wants to talk about the students who were in the building, how they rented out spaces and brought boxes and boxes, and this is all documented, and they created a book, and the book cover is actually, no, these are maybe them, But I don't know if they were affiliated, okay? But they actually created a book about their whole experience at 9/11, and the cover of the book is literally the design of the Twin Towers, how it's all, that familiar shape, scene that we know of the Twin Towers. And in there, there's pictures of them with having boxes and boxes and boxes of fuses. I mean, thousands upon thousands of fuses. There's information that you can find on this, and people don't want to talk about it. But they come from Israel. Who they were, I don't know. It's not Jewish. It is the Mossad. The Mossad is some kind of like Frankist old religion that they believe in, and it goes deep into
Khazarian.
Sabbatarianism. It's all part of that, and they will play. You could be Turkish and be a part of that and say that you're Muslim and that you practice Muslim, but behind closed doors you actually practice something else. And this is what this cult is that runs this fucking world. They're not Jewish, they're not Muslim, they're not Christian,
Don't
they're
you
not
think
Hindu.
that let's say I wanted to tightrope walk between the buildings, and we had to get up line and my safety equipment and the gear and on both sides of the building to set it up. Isn't that showing us that it is capable of the building to be infiltrated for us to do whatever we want to it? Isn't
Yeah.
that movie mocking that fact?
Yeah.
Like, isn't everything you're saying, they weren't doing it for as nefarious purposes, but it's possible. And then
Well,
there was all the things about people playing in the elevators.
I think it just
That was part of
escalates
it,
from
yeah.
there. Because the guy that walks between the two towers, that's to show you. Well, and hell, the vans that they kept finding, the 92 version, right? All that was to let you know, hey, this is possible. Like, this is doable. Don't act surprised if it happens, because we've shown you it can be done. And then when 9/11 actually happens, now it's like, okay, well, now don't be surprised if something even bigger than this happens sometime in the future, because 9/11 was not just the Twin Towers and Building 7 or just Shanksville. It was also the Pentagon that gets hit, right? So now it's like you can't even trust the most secure areas, maybe outside the White House, right? But if they can hit the Pentagon, it was kind of the same thing that I was feeling when we had all the train derailments. It was just a reminder, and all the bridges that were collapsing. It's a reminder to say, hey, remember, like, things go wrong, so don't freak out when something goes really bad. These are all just like little reminders of how fragile everything is.
Isn't it funny that every single place that Biden went to give his infrastructure bill, a bridge collapsed? Like, it was a literal, like, oh,
Ironic.
look, Biden gave an infrastructure bill today, bridge collapse. Oh, Biden gave an infrastructure bill, bridge collapse. It was like the exact same way as how they were like, 11 more people have something that will not be mentioned. We have now are up to 33 cases. And we just at 33 deaths now in the area, up 33%. It's like, wow.
Yeah, wow. Wow.
Yeah, 9/11. I think Howard Stern was a motherfucker on 9/11, and he being like, I'm so brave and staying on air, where anyone that knows Howard, I mean, he didn't even leave his basement for 2 years because of the sniffles. So he's not brave ever. And so he was just stayed on air to sell the narrative of sending his goons down there to interview the right people. So all those same things and the same rhetoric, he repeats it because people are more auditory and will actually create their own version of things. So then when everybody else is like, because that was the most listened to radio show at the time. So then when there's people on the street saying, when the first plane hit, when the second plane hit, when the first plane hit, when the second plane hit, when the first plane hit, there were so many people that swore, so many people that were not in New York. I saw the first plane hit. I saw the first plane hit. It was so long before there was that footage of the first plane hitting out that it was like, that's how quickly people's like mind started to shift. And then they ritualized us again and showed us all the hangman. They do it with Ellen DeGeneres laying upside down on her couch. They always like to give us that guy jumping out of the fallen angel jumping out of the building to even give you that much more illusion, show that much picture. And a lot of people were children and coming up with like a TV in their classroom, and then we're all just gonna watch this.
Yeah,
Ain't nobody
and
saw the first one hit because everyone was like, the news was saying, like, some people are
well,
saying maybe a plane hit the building. Like, nobody knew.
Well, there's
So,
tons of interviews where there are people saying that I've heard bombs in the basement. I heard bombs before
yeah.
the whole narrative came out. The fucking planes hit. Bombs, 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 explosions, 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 and then they changed the narrative because boom, supposedly the second plane hit. Oh, so it was a plane. Did a plane hit the first building? I didn't see any footage of it. They might have some fake footage out there, but I mean, I've seen tons of videos. And I'm just like, what's real? What's not real? Like, they had this technology for a long time. They could fuck with us. They could even make us see in real time to make it look like a plane with, what's it called? Blue beam technology. Make it look like a plane hit the building.
And they could make it look like a plane hit the building from the building itself. And there's footage of the plane, the nose of the plane going through the other side of the building, which would be an impossibility. Those buildings were actually built like every other tall building in New York, including at the Eiffel Tower, to take a hit from a plane. They were built to.
It's
Like,
crazy. It's
there
crazy.
was everyone that did the test about the like steel beams.
Donald Trump said
Don't
it. He's
melt.
like, this building is impossible for it to fall down like that. We need to further investigate. And the further they investigated, the more people died off.
Well, the free fall, right? The free fall blows my mind. It's like the only time in history that so many of these things all happened at the exact same
Fucking
time.
nuts.
The first time that a freestanding building had fallen just due to fire, right? Building 7. It was the first time that a building apparently fell into its own footprint. The first time a building without demolition fell at free fall speed, the same as if you had just dropped like a rock from the same.
Insane.
You know what I mean? Like how many? It's one of those rules that I've got. Like how many first times and coincidences until it starts to feel like something a little bit different. And like 9/11 is one of the ones that it just has like a list of like 100 different things that are just the weirdest coincidences ever to all happen at the same time.
Chaney says 6 is the number. If it's any more than 6, there's no coincidence. Like, it's mathematically impossible.
Mm.
Is this like the 6 degrees of bacon? Does that come from some of
I don't
that?
know. Chaney could probably tell you more about it, but that's one thing that she has said
I
is
will
that
tell you though, that sight from when I went on the roof and looked at that skyline, that was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in my life. Like, just, I'm like looking, I'm like, how is this fucking real right now? I'm like, how did this, like, I wasn't afraid. I was just like calculating it in my head. Like, how could anything like this fucking happen on our soil? Like, it just did not make sense. Like, and plus, you hijack planes here in America. Like, I'm sorry, the whole story is just mumbo jumbo. As a kid, I was like, this is fucking bullshit. This is fucking bullshit.
Like every single part of the story is so bad that I guess it's one of those things you just have to accept the whole thing. Otherwise, if you start nitpicking it, then it all falls apart.
it
But
falls
then
apart.
that's just
Yeah.
gets lumped into conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Good.
Then you're crazy.
Yeah, I'm crazy.
How dare you think that?
Fuck that.
A lot of people died.
What another coincidence is that the the plane that hit the Pentagon
I see what you did
happened
there.
to hit the exact place where they were keeping the records for like the billions of dollars that had gone missing.
Oh, what a
That was
coincidence.
announced earlier, right? Like how convenient.
Wow.
They
Yeah.
have footage, y'all. If you guys want to see the plane
Sounds like a
hit the
tomahawk.
Pentagon, you'll see the footage. It's out there, the real footage of the security cameras. And I'll tell you, it is such an interesting plane. I've never seen a plane shaped like that ever in my life. Some kind of new technology or something.
It's like a one-person plane. You got to stand straight up and keep your arms up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chaney, explain
Okay.
the number 6 and your thing with coincidences.
It's mathematically impossible for I think after 5, it becomes a mathematic impossibility for there to be the 6th coincidence.
Mm,
So it's actually mathematically impossible after 6.
bizarre.
I also think the NORAD, I don't know if you guys talked about that. The
The
NORAD
NORAD stand down.
exercise. Yeah, that was wild. And then the planes that were flying after that, all the bin Ladens got to fly. And then there was a black plane that was also seen in the sky afterward.
Right? They knew that the Bin Laden family was going to be under the microscope soon, so they got them all out of the country so that they could run the rest of the op. Which I don't know. Some of that stuff seemed like I don't know if they were just ready, like they just had Operation Get the Bin Ladens out of the country, just like ready to go at moment's notice, always, just in case something like this were to happen and they could use it, or if this was all pre-planned. But if it were all like 100% pre-planned, it almost seems like they would have already been out of the country. Like if they knew it was
That's
going
what
to
I was gonna
happen that
say.
day or
Yeah.
that week, they would have been the hell out of Dodge. But it's almost like, you know, like who knows if it's going to happen, so just be on call.
Well,
Or if you're the bin Laden family and you legitimately have nothing to do with it at all, and you've been playing ball in whatever way, you're maybe some agent with too much information that's been around for too long. And whatever thing that happens when they pull the plug, it's like you might like I think it catches some people off guard. Like even Dopey Bush, when he looks up, like he knows something's gonna happen, but it's right then he looks like dude. Like
yeah.
it's like I don't know. I don't feel like they tell everyone because then they get the best little act out of them.
So after 9/11 happened, they declared war on Afghanistan, right? And then right after Afghanistan, or literally in that same year, it was Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction, according to them. Did they find anything? No. So what was their real goal for like
They killed
destroying
Saddam
the
Hussein
buildings
anyway.
to go to war all the way in West Bumblefuck because terrorism? They created this whole scenario. So what was there, like you were talking about, that they really, really wanted besides the oil, because that is one
Nimrod?
part of it. Maybe because wasn't that when Nimrod was kind of discovered, or the whole sarcophagus of that whole Nimrod body with the golden reddish hair?
I don't know. What do you think, Thomas?
Well, the other mundane explanation was even Bush Jr. was like, he tried to kill my dad. Like that was part of the play for him of why we went in there. But yeah, I mean, the other thing that happened is that they lost all of their ancient relics. All the museums got looted. The actual Taliban came in and just started smashing everything up, destroying all the history. So I don't know. I feel
Idol
like
worship.
everyone was
Hadith.
ready for this to happen, and everyone knew exactly what their roles were going to be.
Doesn't that almost sound like the story of Joshua and the Hebrew tribe coming in and taking the promised land, where they would go in and they would surround the city and walk around it for 7 days and then blow the horn, and then the walls would fall and they would go in and they would
The
they would
Jericho, yeah.
destroy they destroy everything, like all the relics, leave not a trace, pretty much.
And that's when this version of Islam started to grow through these Taliban, Al Qaeda, pushing hadiths and becoming like super extreme and war. And that's why I feel like the hadiths were created by the same people who go by the Frankists, Talmudists, Sabbatarian, whatever the fuck, created that so we can have this outcome for some bigger purpose. I feel like it's like a 700-year plan that they know that they're not going to be around for. Maybe they are. Maybe they know something we don't. But they have a plan that takes time. And I feel like that was part of it. This was like a major part of it. And we're still in the plan right now. What the plan
Hadith
is, I
is
don't know.
mainstream now, right? Like, isn't that the default?
It's supposed to be Quran, but the hadiths came 200 years after the Prophet Muhammad died, and it's like Muhammad said this, so we have to do this. Muhammad said, but that's idol worship because you're doing what he's doing, but you're supposed to be doing what God is asking you to do, not what a human is asking you to do. So that whole idea of like worshiping him is coming from the hadiths, and they talk about like Christians and like, oh, they worship, Jesus, but they're doing the same thing with Muhammad. And that's where all the extremism comes in, because these are stories coming from people who wanted to be known in something in history by their name, because your name lives forever, apparently, if you know how to play the game. And that's what perverted the whole idea of being a Muslim, because Muslim's not even supposed to be a religion. It's supposed to be a way of life. It's just to worship God. That's all it means, being a Muslim. It's just worshiping God.
But do you think that most Muslims now are like follow the hadiths? Like most of them?
Yes. Like according to the Quran, it does not mention circumcision, but circumcision is practiced in the hadiths. And if you look back, it was for slavery, and that's what it was a symbol of you being a slave. But then they took that upon, after the hadiths came out, they took it upon themselves to add it to the hadiths that you have to be circumcised because Muhammad was. But yeah, culture.
Doesn't it seem like iPet Goat 2 was just put there to bury iPet Goat 1 in imagery, like just to go absurd with imagery?
I mean,
it's kind of weird. It's like wild.
It's pretty on point, though.
Yeah, I tried to pull out iPet Goat. I just put in iPet Goat. It was all iPet Goat too. I'm like, I don't fucking feel like that.
I still don't really fully understand this, and I think he was on an interview with InfoWars at some point, the guy that did iPet Goat. But like that was a lot of time and money and effort that went into that, and it had from day one probably no viable commercial value, right? Like Coca-Cola's not putting their advertisement in front of Pet Goat, like nothing. So like, where did the money come from? Was it just like an independently wealthy guy that was like, I'm just going to burn a bunch of money and make this cool video? I'm glad that it exists. I really like iPet Goat. I think it's awesome. I highly recommend it to anyone that hasn't ever watched it. But like, where did the money come from, right? Because it wasn't just like a one-man army that put that thing together. Like, that was a full-on production. That was a high-level production.
Like, it was almost The Simpsons, where did the money come from? Why do you have a little bit of the script?
But even The Simpsons can sell some McDonald's or some Butterfingers, right? Like, I don't see what the commercial approach for iPet Goat 2 was. Not that there has to be one, but that was not a quick little student film. That had like a full-fledged team behind it.
Yeah. I know, and it does, the symbology on iPet Goat 2 is wild. I mean, the first one's wild, but the second one, it's like a Michael Jackson video. I'm like, there's so much to look at. I'm like, I have to pause each frame like I'm watching Justin Bieber. But what else was I gonna say? The black plane. Bush was in Florida. Doesn't it seem like a lot of stuff goes down in Pennsylvania? Like, I say that about everything. Like, last time it was the Denver airport. Doesn't it seem like a lot of stuff goes down in Colorado? But Pennsylvania, it just they got a lot going on.
Well, how much are the Amish going to really see?
Yeah, they don't watch the TV. That's why.
Are they going to tell you?
They're like, don't even trust that devil's box. None of it's real.
It's a weird name, Pennsylvania.
You're on notice, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania.
Well, it's not Transylvania.
Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania.
That was my first tattoo. Pencil, a little stab of a pencil. I don't remember where it is. I always forget. I feel like it's on my hand somewhere. I always forget till I see it. It's on my knuckle somewhere. Anyway.
Psyop after
9/11.
9/11.
Back to 9/11.
911, what is your emergency?
Yeah, so I feel like Howard Stern is like he was a bigger piece of it. George Bush coming out and being extra patriotic, and it's almost like here's how scripted it is. Like Al Gore knew he never was going to win that election. The Florida thing was put there because that was a whole illusion. Like Al Gore always knew he was going to be the first fake global warming billionaire. And imagine Al Gore standing on top of like the buildings and being like, y'all, I really think we need to go to Afghanistan and like take care. He's like a Southern black woman when he speaks. Like it just wouldn't have had the Texas thing that it made everybody so patriotic. Like everybody was like, I'll go to war. I'm signing all my kids up. Like when those Twin Towers fell, the amount of people I knew that signed up, it was wild. Like that was the biggest commercial for the military.
He was the one behind the global warming, like you said. What was it called? It was called global warming, and then it went bankrupt, and now we have climate change. Yeah. That's how it's done. And when this goes bankrupt, what's the new name you think it'd be?
Global cooling.
Yeah, probably.
We've talked about global cooling, and it's already in there.
Oh, it's coming.
I know, and I like when people are like climate change because people always say, "Oh, I thought it was global warming" when it's extra cold somewhere, and then people are like, "It's climate change," and they get so irritated. And I'm just like,
carbon.
9/11. Why did they decide to make 911? What is your emergency 911? Why 911? Why didn't you do 611?
It's because in other countries it's not 911. So it's almost like that's how big the PSYOP was. Like that's how big it is. Even the 7-11 of it all with
I want to know who decided, hey, it's going to be 911.
I've heard it described that hitting, I don't know, this doesn't even sound true, but I swear I've heard someone explain it this way, that the 9 and the 1 are the farthest apart that you can kind of get on the dial pads or even on like the rotary. So it would be like statistically improbable to accidentally dial 911 for either a touchstone or a rotary phone. So I think that was one of the explanations given on like why it wasn't 211 or just hitting like 111 or something. But I guess it could have been, like 733 or like 288. Could have been anything where you jump over.
In 1967, the President's Commission on Law Enforcement and Administration of Justice recommended that a single number should be established nationwide for reporting emergency situations. It was a single number, and then they changed it. When? I don't know.
In Japan, it's 110 for police or 119 for ambulance or fire. That's kind of smarter too.
The FCC met with the American Telephone and Telegraph Company and decided that 911 as emergency code throughout the United States with AT&T in 1968. The FCC.
I think in the UK it's 999.
The emergency, it seems like such a good way. It's almost like insurance. Like it's like such a great way for them to creep in because even think of every way they have given us YouTube albums on our phone that we didn't want. And one of the ways they've done that is that presidential alert that we all get now, no matter what. It doesn't matter what state, it doesn't matter what. We all get a presidential alert at the same time. And that feels like a U2 album to me. Like, you're not going to just come on my phone like that. What if I don't want to know? What kind of national emergency could you actually be telling me about that's real?
For real.
Seriously, are the aliens coming? Do I have to get under my desk? Like, get out of here. Go.
Shouldn't you be able to see it then? Yeah.
Marsh.
Yeah. It makes me so irritated. So it's like the presidential alert on our phones. Really, it feels like for Apple that U2 album was the force of that. And then we have U2 in the Sphere Oh, don't get me started on that. The sphere is a whole thing.
Ugh. It's
But
like a
that's
portal.
Negron. Yeah, it's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
A
And I feel
moon
like
in the
we
desert.
inherited U2 a little bit. Like all of our ages. Like we didn't grow up with U2. We kind of did, but like we inherited it from like an older generation. But I feel like we're gonna die and they're still gonna be around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like they're forcing them on us in a weird, like they did force them on our generation. None of us wanted it. Like you would be watching like Limp Bizkit and Britney and Christina, and then all of a sudden they'd be like, "You're stuck in a moment that you can't get out of," and you're like, "Yeah, bitch, you on my TRL, get the fuck out of here."
You can't sit with us.
You're not allowed at this table, Bono.
No, bye.
What are you guys doing? You take yourselves far too seriously. Your hair, and then you're very political. You have a lot to say at my Congress, Bono. You have a lot to speak on, and it feels like you're probably on the Epstein flight log.
Like Benjamin Netanyahu.
Like,
Same thing.
Bono, you're on notice. You too, you're on notice. The Edge, you're on notice.
But doesn't Bono just seem like the ultimate mansplainer? Like he just goes to every country and just mansplains shit away. Like that's kind of his whole shtick.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He is totally the guy when he's not on stage that has his hair in a like tiny ponytail, which is
Like a
the
little tail.
worst. You're like, "Oh, does that guy have his hair combed back?" He has a tiny ponytail. He has a ponytail that's 1 inch long.
That's ridiculous.
Somehow it translates to like an extra carbon credit or something.
Carbon credits. Even carbon credits are a 33.
The what?
Carbon credit is 33. It's a CC.
Oh yeah. CC. Wow, I went brain dead for a minute.
No,
Chanel,
I might have.
Chanel.
I actually might have. Yeah. So, Osama bin Laden, we go into Afghanistan and Iraq. And then, you know what else happens really quickly after 9/11? Because we're in Afghanistan, all of the people that we know around us get addicted to opioids.
That's true.
And it was like a real good
Huge.
takedown of our country.
Yeah, big time for a while, actually.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was
And
from
you
the inside out. That was war from the inside out. We always said we'd control the opium fields because that's how you controlled the red dragon. The only way you could control a population as big as China was if you controlled the opium. But they used it to control us. They got us all addicted to it.
Do they still put the lasers up for 9/11, the lights, to represent the buildings every
Well,
year?
there's another building there now, but I don't know. In some places, probably.
I thought that was like a whole like anniversary thing that they did for a while. I don't know if they still do that or not, where they had the laser lights just like going all the way up and you could see it in space. Do they still do it?
Well, I think now they have the one tower, and so now they have the as
The
above.
One World Trade Center.
Yeah,
One
Trade
World.
Center
1776 feet, isn't it?
And then below they have the infinite
Reflecting
pool, the
pool.
black pool. So they have an infinite pool below and then the twin tower above.
Yeah, I thought
The black cube, some would say.
Yep.
And I think it's also interesting because the why, they had all these countries like Syria, like for example, that people were illiterate. And so it was very easy to teach all these people a certain they could tell them what their religion said, whatever they wanted, because they couldn't read it. So it was easy to teach this. But that had nothing to do with 9/11. Any ways that you want to talk about that, there's like in North Africa, or there's places where there's like, oh, there's war age men being created in this like terrorist ideology, had nothing to do with 9/11. Does anyone believe that it did? Like that a Muslim had any, does anyone believe Muslims had anything to do with 9/11?
absolutely. Yes,
You think
still
they
to
had
this
something to
day.
do with it?
I don't think that but there's people that believe
No,
that
no, no. In
Muslims.
this room, I just mean in this room.
How about you
Like,
guys in the chat? You?
so it's just crazy that like demonizing a whole population like that, and to really force the hand of like, here's what this religion thinks, here is how dangerous this religion is, and for all intents and purposes they could go into most people's books and read stuff and be like, ah, like,
Yeah.
did that just say sleep with your daughter and cut the goat's head off and wear it around in a circle? It sure did, but it's just because God told Abraham that on a Wednesday. It's
Mhm.
Yeah,
fine.
only on Wednesdays. Calm down.
I don't know what it is, but there's just crazy shit that goes on that you're like,
Yeah. What
Mom,
the fuck?
I just remember like so many people older than you, you'd be like,
I
your
was
little
traumatized
kid
as a
self.
kid too. The shit that I heard about Muslims, they're like, oh, and like the fact, like circumcision being one of them, and like all this other shit, like, oh, you can't listen to music, oh, that's haram. Oh, you can't do this, that's haram. Oh, you can't do that, that's haram. And everything was haram. Everything was a sin. And I'm like, what the fuck? I want nothing to do with this. Y'all scared the shit out of me. And then all the shit that I see on TV. And then I'm now in my age now, I'm finding out most of that crap, 99% of that crap comes from the hadiths. And I'm like,
My brother's
mm.
one of his best friends was Muslim, but when he first moved to our neighborhood, he wasn't allowed to play with my brother because our door was green. He's
What?
like, he said it was bad luck or whatever. It was just bad.
Yeah, there's shit like that. There you go. There's shit like that. You're allowed to drink camel urine according to the hadiths, so enjoy.
But even still, it's like in the 9/11 of it all, it really had nothing to do with anything Afghanistan or Iraq, Sunni, Shiites, Al Qaeda. None of it mattered with 9/11 at all. Like all the people that we've talked about have nothing to do with anything Muslim. So it's like even House Assad, if we want to bring them up later. But I'm like, I don't know where in 9/11 there's a connection to a country or a religion or a people that has anything to do with Muslims.
Yeah,
I'll
like
be honest. I don't even know if Osama bin Laden was a real person. I
I don't think
feel
he
like
was.
I don't think he was either. I
Which
think it's
one?
all fake. Yeah, I don't think it's real.
Yeah, which
There was
one
like
is
4 or 5
right?
of them.
I
I
mean,
just feel
and if
like
he
they got
was
in the
real,
habit of showing us some bearded man on the TV like once
Mr.
that's what
every
I was
2
just gonna
weeks
Fucking
and being
say.
white
like,
dude
this guy
in a
was the third
turban.
and ahead of Al Qaeda, and we killed him today. And we'd be like,
Do you know
okay,
how easy he could blend into society now? All
winning.
he has to do is just shave his fucking beard, take his turban off or whatever the hell he had on his head, and just
That's the
have like
Elvis
a
rule.
nice slick back, GQ'd up. You would never know that's Osama bin Laden.
That
Like
is
Michael
my
Jackson.
it's the Elvis rule to me is like all you need is 2 items that become your thing. Like it would be so easy for Thomas to take his glasses off and just pull his Velcro beard off, and now no one knows that he's just walking amongst them.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, it's just
He's
any 2
definitely
items.
real. He
Just a
got paid,
Michael
he did his
Chiklis
job.
under here.
Because no offense, a lot of Arabs look like each other too. Like they do. You can never tell, man, sometimes. You can never tell.
There's another interesting thing that came out of this too is that after they raided Osama's compound or whatever, his little underground lair, they found a series of hard drives or DVDs or something. Just like the dude was just on Pirate Bay all day long, just downloading games and movies and books. But one of these books was the Fritz Springmeier Illuminati, how to make an MK Ultra mind control slave. I don't know if you ever heard of this book or read it before. It's pretty much like a conspiracy canon for Project Monarch, mind control, Stranger Things, the whole entire vibe. And that is, if you search for it online, you'll find a link to that book, to Fritz Springmeier's book on CIA.gov, but it's under this little like collection of all the things that Osama bin Laden had. And I think this is in addition to he had like Barbie movies and I think that they just downloaded a whole bunch of crap to just fill up the coffers with, media, American media. But it also kind of goes to show not only did they use that to kind of discredit some of this? So now that the CIA hosts people's criticisms of the CIA, but it's behind something that Osama bin Laden had. So now it kind of like helps discredit all that.
And America's Most Wanted forever was Osama bin Laden. Like on the FBI's Most Wanted crime list, Osama bin Laden, #1 person. So think about all the like human traffickers and real life stuff that always gets shoved to the bottom because terrorism, terrorists. It's like so wild.
And if he was a person, technically he was just like a cult leader. I mean,
Well,
right?
here's the other
Essentially.
part. So Osama bin Laden, it then rolls into who kills Osama bin Laden? SEAL Team 6. What
That's what I was
happens?
gonna say, yeah.
Yeah, what happens to every single member of SEAL Team 6? They die. They end up dead. And so it's just like, oh, who's the one that gets to drop Osama bin Laden's body into the sea? Oh,
That's bizarre. As a
Barack
Muslim,
Hussein Obama.
That's like unheard of. But I guess they didn't care that he was a Muslim, and they said he doesn't deserve a burial. He deserves to be thrown in the water, in the ocean. How about cremate him? How about something like that? How about, I don't know, but put him in the water? Like, out of all things, it was just
I always thought burying him at sea was always the equivalent of like, I've got a girlfriend in Canada, you can't ever meet her. Like that was kind of like we buried Osama bin Laden at sea. You can't see the body. We didn't record it. It was a solemn thing. Just trust us on this.
so weird. That's just nah. They knew something. And I hear there's a whole conspiracy around SEAL Team 6 that not all of them died and a couple members are still alive and tried to come out with the truth of what happened. I just don't remember the names of the two guys.
Were they on the Challenger? Just kidding.
What is
There
a
was a
Challenger?
Hal Rittenhouse?
What is a Challenger?
The shuttle that exploded over Florida with Krista McAuliffe on it that traumatized us all. We're just like poor
That's
mind
another
control
psyop.
victims. Yeah,
Another
poor
psyop.
little mind control victims.
This is strange.
I know. It is kind of crazy the amount of stuff because in the Patriot Act, that happened in the middle of the night on us, which was probably at the time the biggest front to any of our rights that had happened in our lifetimes.
Yeah. And security. I remember how easy it was going through the airport. It was just so easy. And then after that,
There was a time you just walked through the store and then
Literally.
they told you your total and then you just slid your card and walked. Like life was faster than it is now. With all the technology, it's not faster.
Yeah, it's not. It's the same. Maybe worse.
I had this conversation at
in
work
flip
today.
phone days, we were running. That was flip phone days were the life. When the Razor was out, that was the life. You could just float through the
I would
airport
say
like
sidekick.
nobody's business.
Sidekick times.
You're going sidekick?
Yeah.
But
I
you know what
this
I'm talking about. That time.
We're gonna just start like old people talk here, but I also remember something that I can't remember ever doing again, but I could send entire text to my pocket without even taking my phone out, because it had that. I can't remember what it used to be called, but like there was a way you could like quickly type on the old Nokias.
T9.
Yeah, the T9 typing, and I remember it was felt so next level because I could be in a meeting and like having a conversation, but also texting like to somebody, and now we can't do that
just
anymore.
like counting. It was so
it
much
doesn't
fun.
seem like it's more efficient by any means.
We also spoke in a code. Like, I really think because of the generation that we're in, we talk about cursive and stick shift being something that, like, we really could create a whole society that the youth would be like, what the fuck?
Idiocracy.
Retard.
Idiocracy.
Yeah, they wouldn't know how to do anything on it. I think in those same kind of ways, like having those phones that we never write A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We never write that on the code of things, but we could talk in number to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Like,
a
we
whole.
learned how to write big sentences to each other in phone code.
But not only that, another thing that kids don't have now that we all have is number sense. Like, I don't care if you're a math person or not. If you grew up in the generation, pre-technology, we played with math manipulatives all the time, like in first grade, kindergarten, like the little blocks. Blocks are math, but the little 10 cubes,
Yeah,
the beads, the abacuses, we played with stuff like this at school. So we were getting number sense by like just playing with little math manipulatives and playing, because kids learn that, like counting by fours, by playing like with little beads that are on little strings of
Montessori.
four. Yeah, and that's how we all grew up though too. Like that's how it was for me in first
Same for
grade,
me. Yeah.
and these kids today don't have number sense, like it. And I've noticed it with all of my kids. They struggled in math because they don't understand like why 5 times 4 equals 20. Like they can't sit there and like they don't have like they just can't do mental math. They don't get it on a different level. Like they don't understand it on a different level.
Interesting. That makes sense. That really does make sense.
And probably, I don't know how many people out there, and I was pretty good at math, but I didn't really get what I was doing as much as I knew what I had to do to get an A. It was like my brain learned how to do it that way.
Yeah.
I remember like separating weed in college and being like, holy shit, an eighth. Like, dude, it's like, because
That's when it
I
clicked.
didn't get that somewhere. Like somewhere in my geometry part, it all just was circles and squares, and here's
Mhm.
Well,
where it
when
was
I did
Piles
just
and
like,
shitty jobs
bunches.
that I hated and I had to like cashier and stuff, that's when it really like the mental math became a thing for me, because I would get so bored of doing that job that I would try to figure out the total in my head before the register would do it, and try to get the change in my head before I did it. Like, so I'd sit there and do like I would constantly be doing math, like the grouping of tens and stuff. So I don't know. It's weird how you can do that, like trick your brain into like learning something really fast and really good, but it's number sense.
Is math even real?
I think for us and the way we
Counting is real.
understand this realm, it's real. But is it really real? In a bigger way. We can't fathom it.
Tell me, have you guys ever used quadratic formula since you've been out of college?
Quadratic
Mhm.
formula? Nope.
tell me, have you guys ever used something that you've never heard of before?
Quadratic
That's
that's the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus b squared equals c squared, right?
No, it's like graphing parabolas and stuff. It's like algebra
Graphing
2. But
parabolas.
what I'm saying is these kids in high school now have to take 3 years of fucking math, and they're having to learn algebra 2, they're having to learn, like, quadratic formula, and when are they ever gonna have to graph a parabola in real life? Ever.
Never.
None of us have ever used it as adults. The only
But
time I did was when I was
that's
in
why
college.
school is a fucking psyop, and that's
Well,
why you should
technically,
be
I had to use
homeschooling your
it.
children and
I
teach
had to use
them
it in
real
game
life.
programming.
Oh, well, if you want to be a gamer, then use it. You see, this is what they should like understand children and their niches first, and then like set up schools for that and like go for that. Like, why do you need to learn this unnecessary bullshit that you don't need to use for something that you're
Well,
passionate
that's what I'm
about?
saying. Like, my daughter
It's
knows she's probably never
ridiculous.
gonna go to college. She can't do math, and then she has to take algebra 2 and learn quadratic and all this stuff, and I'm like, why did they make her do that? I don't understand that. Like, to me, that's just like, she did 2 years of math, that should be the requirement. Why did they have them do 3? It's like you almost want your kids, like, if you knew this as a parent and your kid struggles with math, you should make sure that they don't have to take algebra as their freshman, you know? It's
Mhm.
so bizarre to me.
But
So they can
I
just
don't
take
know if
bonus math.
the point is ever to actually know the things that they teach. I think it's more of just they would know how to assign you a number to put on a piece of paper, so
Rank
that
you.
now kind of like SATs, you know.
Yeah. Teaching to the test, more or less. So you're testable and you can rank them.
What happened? Boop.
And
There
we're
you are.
back.
Oh, look how clean you
That was
are.
smooth.
But like SATs, it doesn't really matter if you know all the stupid analogies and all of like the answers, and like none of that about SATs as anything that you're supposed to know. It's just to know exactly what bucket to put you in, so that we know to put, like stand in line A or stand in line C. I think a lot of that kind of amounts to it. So quadratic equation, it's more of, can you memorize it? Can you pass the test? Can you do the thing? Because that's such an easy way to commoditize everybody.
How much of those tests, they were told it was that, like, oh, no child left behind and those kind of things, what classes to put us into, that. But how much of it were they running bigger tests on us to be like, if we show the kids the answer here, or if we teach this one, like, or if we paint the school all this color here and we paint the school all this color here, what about if we ring the bell in this tone here and we ring the bell this tone here? Like, didn't it feel like you were doing all these tests throughout your entire schooling that kind of made no sense? Like, it wasn't, sometimes they felt like tests that weren't even about your actual knowledge. They were like weird repetitive questions like Scientology. Like, were they trying to make us go clear? That's what I'm asking. No. No, but it did feel like some of it was like ACTs and SATs and PSAT, like,
Da,
or,
da, da, da,
yeah, it
this
just
and
felt like
that.
we were constantly jumping through some sort of hoop, and not everyone always was going to the thing. Like, sometimes you'd be picked out of class and you'd have to go take a test, and sometimes they'd be all of you in the auditorium, and sometimes it would be groups of you in the library or at your class. You had to do them in each classroom, but they weren't always the same. Why didn't they always make us take them in the class? Sometimes they made us all go into an auditorium and take them.
It's all a test. None of it was beneficial, really. It's just all part of their whatever
Timed.
system that we're in. It's for them. It's not really for us. It's for whatever system that we live in, that they created for us to live in, to be better slaves for them. That's all it is. No matter which way you want to spin it, that's the real reason.
Yeah, the factory is bigger than the actual factory that we
Boom,
see.
plug in. This is what you gotta learn. ADHD, mind going crazy. So much information overload. Everyone becomes insane. No one knows who they are. Everyone got to find himself. Ha 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 ha. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, it's like they make you go insane in a sense. Like, forget who you really are. Don't pay attention to your feelings. Shut the fuck up. Sit down in that chair. You're wrong. I'm right. I'm bigger than you. I know more.
And now in the history books of that kids are all learning now, they have to know for the test that 9 hijackers learned how to fly planes and with box cutters and took down the whole United States government in 2001. Like, this
Well,
is how the
that's
rewrite of history.
that's if they're even learning history, because a lot of schools now, because of the state testing and having to, what started with No Child Left Behind, I forget what it's evolved to now. They put
Common
such
Core.
an emphasis on reading. Common Core is just a list of standards, but I mean they've changed it to like something else act. It's not No Child Left Behind Act. It's something else. But um, every student succeeds. I think that's what Obama changed it to, or something like that. But basically, if kids don't pass this third grade reading test, then they have to be retained. They have to be held back. And the reason why is because if kids don't pass the reading test by third grade, statistically, they won't graduate high school. And and who knows if that's even true. I don't believe that really. But um my point with that was that now they're not teaching, a lot of schools are like, up, we just need to emphasize math and reading, so we're going to cut social studies. Now we're going to cut science because we just need to do math and reading, especially reading, because the reading state test is the important one. Our school gets graded on it. We get federal funding from our grading. So this is all we're going to stress,
Because that's
which,
all we really need you to do is read from the AI.
yeah, which is crazy though, too, because like it's so easy to add social studies as part of your reading curriculum. How hard is that to do?
Yeah, right?
You're reading.
Anything, really.
Science can be reading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
History,
But they're
all of
just
that.
cutting it. They're like, nope, reading and math.
I've found out that this is an offensive opinion recently, I guess, especially with normies out in meat space, but that it seems AI could replace teachers.
There's been, yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
I've
a thing right
seen
now. There's
stuff
AI
on it,
schools
or
right
they're
now.
trying to push that because honestly, what is AI really? They tell you it's one thing, but I just think it's just a
The
bunch of
man behind the
bullshit.
curtain.
If
Yeah.
I have an algorithm now that TikTok can figure out my exact little gig, what Chaney likes on a Tuesday morning, then I feel like why couldn't they figure, oh, Chaney learns this during this time of the day, Chaney learns
I
this
mean,
during
I've
this
had some
time of the
horrible teachers to where just having like a spreadsheet put up on the wall and nothing else would have been better than some of the teachers that I've had. So like an AI, it does feel like it could be an improvement for like the public education experience that I had at least.
Yeah,
I
that's
agree.
true because it's just faster. It's smart,
I
but
beg
And you
it's
could
not
for
ask
it.
smarter. It's
questions
just
without annoying
faster.
everyone. Like that was the biggest thing in schools is the
Compiles a
one
bunch of
place that
shit.
you have a chance to ask questions.
I don't know. I don't give it that. I don't want to give it that much credit because to me, it's like looking like it's just compiling all the shit that's available on the internet, super quick and high speed, and just put a bunch of shit together for you, however you want it. And you word it, you put the keywords in, and the math will math, and boom, it's done. It's just speed. It could do that already, but it'll take long with this technology. Just improved, quicker technology. Is it smarter? I think it's
It
just
would cost less money for a state if kids could learn at their own speed, and really most homeschool kids I know, they do like 4 or 5 hours a day. Like, they're not sitting there for 8.
that's
Like,
true.
and the stuff they're learning, a lot of it is Montessori around their house or going to actual museums or some other, propaganda.
Mhm.
But even in school, it's
I
not.
was
It's
thinking of,
maybe
like
maybe 4 hours of learning too. It doesn't matter that's like an 8-hour day. You have to realize there's transitions, and every time your class transitions, it's a process. It's not fast, Put your stuff away, now line up, now walk through the hallways, now go to the bathroom. It's like all that
Jail.
takes so long.
jail. It's total
You gotta do
jail.
Jail.
PE, you gotta go to art, you gotta go to your specials, so
And
all that takes away from your class time. You don't get a
Obey,
lot of
obey,
time to
obey.
But
teach,
it,
so they're
it
not
has
really
to
in the
be
classroom.
8 hours because if you're not homeschooled, then that's like you're at work, right?
Who's gonna
So
watch your
you, yeah,
kids?
you
Well,
have
yeah,
to.
it
It's
is.
state
It's
endorsed babysitting.
I'm saying instruction time though, where you're actually just sitting at your desk, and the teacher is up at the whiteboard teaching, like, that's not very much of the school day. It's about half, because then you have lunch, and you have recess, and all these breaks. There's so many things that really they're not sitting a lot of time
Well,
in
that's
the
where you get
classroom.
that's where you get beat up in the hall on the way between classes, which is like the real education that you get when you go to school. It's like the social
Social,
education.
yeah, and it's
No
important.
offense to parents though. If you're gonna have kids for the state to raise them, why have them? Like, if you're not going to raise them, like if you're not going to teach them, if you're not going to put your effort into, like, hey, I'm having a child and I want it to be the best version it could be and learn the things that it should learn, why are you having kids and just like letting the state just fucking raise them? And why is my child like this, and why is my child fucking suicidal, and why is my child transfused, why is my child this? You are letting other people raise your children and you expect them to be like you, but you're not with them all day, and and then night night. What? Come on.
well,
Come on.
don't you also like to go into the Rockefeller, like, factory, school, prison system? You also have to have a whole bunch of jibby jabbies. Brr, 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 brr. And so
Ba-ba-da-da.
otherwise, if you have to have them to get into any of the schooling. So it's like right away we're all probably in a little petri dish of sickness and sick thoughts because we're like broken a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, if we can start waking up to all of this, like this huge fucking spell, like that goes so deep and it starts from infancy, like you'll wake up to the point where they're taking a nice, beautiful blood print of your foot and stomping it on a piece of paper and taking the soul of your child, literally, from that moment on. So just wake up. take charge. You're the creators, you know? If you're going to create a child, do it right.
The whole way through.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a lot, but it also seems like it used to take a village, and it used to be, unfortunately, this is the worst thing to say. It used to be affordable to have a kid. Now
Yeah.
it's barely affordable to just be a solo adult
Person.
in the world,
Yeah.
like what they're up to. But I think that's all part of the system too. I think that's all where you play into terrorist. I think you also play into the idea of everything else we're talking about to get into the public education system, that you have all of these things that you're forced to maybe put in yourself that maybe do other things up here. So then maybe parents are forced to send their kids to other doctors. So then maybe they're taking things here, and then they're going to talk to shrinks that who knows who these shrinks are that are allowed to talk to the kids all the time. But I just think it's so funny that everything with all of the false flags and the school shootings and things like that, we're never allowed to ever talk to the shrinks, even though all these kids had one. Like, like
That's
this seems like a
crazy.
common denominator more so than that, because they want us to be like, oh, who's crazy? SSRIs. That's what the government needs to look at.
It's in
Yada
the
yada
name.
yada yada. But then I'm like, no, we don't want the government to do anything. We don't want the government telling us who's crazy. We don't want the government telling us who can get what. We don't want the government telling us who can get drugs. We don't want the government telling us nothing. Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing. But I do think it's like all part of the feeding, because we had speckled school shootings. But then 9/11 happens, and they start to ramp up, and then we ramp up to the cast of characters that it's kind of funny that you have the symbolic Osama bin Laden putting, or sorry, Barack Hussein Obama putting Osama bin Laden in the sea, but at the same time at the same time he's taking away the Smith Munt on us, so we're allowed to be propagated like hardcore with like everything 24-hour news cycle. And so we almost get a force-fed president in this American Idol type way, in this way of like, you guys want 24 hours of news, you want Jon Stewart all the time, here's a whole bunch of talking heads. Like, you guys want TRL all the time, perfect, because we put Carson Daly and Kennedy as talking heads on your show. Like, it was like kind of even that MK Ultra of MTV Ultra walked us right into the 24-hour news cycle and being like, let's pick our side.
Do you
Let's
know
pick
what's a
our side.
common thing, Chaney, that I've noticed also with these school shootings that they don't want to put out there so much? A lot of these interviews mention school shooters, shooters, and it makes me think that these people who they put on TV are not even the real character, but they just pull that out of their ass and just say, and they create a whole storyline behind this character. But the real shooters are government officials or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be, because it's not. I'm sorry. Like, a lot of people
Yeah.
are not aware of that. They believe that these characters that they show us, this trans person, this person, and this person, and this person, like white boy,
You cannot convince me
Yeah.
that David Hogg isn't the same kid from Sandy Hook with CGI on his face. You
Yeah.
cannot convince me that Parkland shooting kid that wasn't in two places at one time, and he's this actor that comes up every time there's a school shooting, and probably he'll be a politician one day and like run for some district of Miami, and people will be like, who's he? I don't know. But I like that kind of shit. I just think
Yeah.
we get told these
He's the
cast of
king of
characters.
Broward. What do you mean?
Yeah. Oh, he's Rubio.
He won't be mayor or anything. He'll just run the election committee of Broward.
Bizarre.
But
I
the
love this
Parkland
movie.
shooting,
3, though, like Exorcist 3, kind of that I realize it's a movie, but it taught me a lot because it really it got into the whole. It's supposed to be like the Zodiac killer, I think, but like
That
they
was
talk about
Dahmer's
how
favorite movie too.
really
It
it's
was,
good.
yeah.
It really was a good movie though, but they talk about how like they purposely feed the public certain facts to find the real people. Like
I'm
a
glad I'm
killer, they would
alive.
be like, "Oh, they cut off the middle finger and then like wrote a sign of a zodiac on his back," and the real killer would be like, "Nah, man, I didn't cut off that finger. I cut off this finger, and I didn't do it on his back. I did it here." Like, so that's how they would figure it out.
Guys, I'm really glad to be alive on this timeline. Like,
It's
for real, for real.
wild.
Hmm. It's so, like, it's hilarious.
We were
Like, I'm at
bred
the
for
point of
this.
just like, this is so fucking entertaining. It's hilarious. Like, I just sit back and it no longer affects me. I guess so much of
Like your
this.
Game Boy was built to put that phone in your hand.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Holy fuck. Yeah.
Like we have been like, I think Generation X, the same way they 33, 33, 33, 33, 33. And that's just like if we were all different factions and we had never talked to each other before, we don't even know who's part of the faction until they get 33 twice in their thing. And we're like, it's go time. That's all of us saying like red team go. That's kind of how I feel about like certain keywords, certain triggers, certain things. It's like they don't even need to know who it is. It's just a hidden language of symbology. And their hidden language of symbology is what they have to speak to each other on these public platforms because it's always been truth in plain sight. And that is their downfall because we all know their symbology now. We weren't supposed to. It wasn't all of our accounts were supposed to be deleted ahead of time. Everybody was supposed to be like, oh, Alex Jones is crazy. Look at the Sandy Hook guy and all that stuff. We weren't supposed to be even speaking about this. We were supposed to be so scared to say false flag. I see any shooting, this one that happened and whatever. I'm like, man, I heard a false flag happen today.
Yeah. And you're like, what? No, it's real. Okay. Yeah. But like, it was a false flag operation. They have to make it real so they can take your rights away. Do you not see that? Like, we need our guns.
Or I would be like, what's the voting demographic of that part of town? Was that high school a voting high school before? Was that a precinct? Where are they going to put those precincts now? Like, I think there's other shit that goes on. I also am like, is there any politicians right now that are under the like magnifying glass somewhere that they're in court somewhere? Because the Hunter Biden thing is all going down. And the way they always tell us about all the mafia families that have ever been. It doesn't matter how many murders they have. It doesn't matter how many piles of bodies they have. They always get them for taxes. It's how the mafia always goes down. And so that I just think it's interesting. It's how they always get their foot in the door. I don't care if it's Al Capone or John Gotti.
Taxes. And why taxes? Who
Because
owns the
they're fucking
IRS?
illegal. I know. And then you're like, taxes? We shouldn't be happy about that. Out of everything they get Hunter Biden for, we should all be like, taxes? Fuck that. That's where we should all draw the line. It's like Thomas said about the gun before, where he's like, they're arresting him for the gun. Out of everything they could fucking arrest him for, we should be like, oh, he got away with not paying taxes? Good on his fuck ass. The one person not paying for Ukraine is the guy who did this whole deal.
Thank you.
That's so crazy.
Bizarre. I love it though. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So that is 9/11 shit. What else happened? What else happened around there? Anyone? Bueller?
Like what happened around 9/11 or on 9/11?
Yeah, I mean, that was just like the first domino we remember. You know, we have Kennedy. I know like the San Bernardino thing happened, but I feel like that was in 2012 or somewhere. I feel like 7/7 was the Ariana Grande thing,
Saddam
maybe.
Hussein. What happened to Saddam Hussein? We
In his
didn't
bloody
tap into
Bible.
Gaddafi. Why? Whatever. Like the whole reason why they went to the Middle East, and they all warned everybody that this was going to happen up until this very point, and more to come. Stay tuned, y'all. But yeah, Saddam Hussein, yeah, he's killed some people, but from what I know, before they portrayed him as a monster and infiltrated his country with the resistance, he was taking care of his people along with Gaddafi and along with all the other leaders. They were like paying for like everything. People were living great there.
Well,
And
didn't they
then
not also not have
democracy.
central banks?
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't.
You know, it was also happening in 2001 around the 9/11 time, and I remember this time period so clearly because I was living in Imperial Beach in California, and the, it was the California energy crisis because they deregulated who like utilities power, and so
Enron.
yeah, then we started having all of the rolling blackouts
Mm.
in Southern California.
You had all the brownouts and everything. That's where
Yeah,
Enron was all happening.
yeah.
And like all we got to see from all that havoc, all those businesses, all those millions of people, all the mismanaged money, all we got to see was Martha Stewart go to jail. And we were like, okay, that's good. Thank you.
For insider trading, though, it's happening all the time now, and she's the one who goes.
I know. And now we're like immediately, we were like very happy to see Martha Stewart stand next to
Martha
people
Stewart.
like Snoop Dogg. And
Yeah.
then that's how Snoop Dogg's now allowed to be on The View. And people are like, but what does Snoop Dogg think about Kamala Harris? I don't know. Joe Behar is going to ask him tomorrow on The View. Tune in tomorrow. Like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Dude, like, you know, the amount of stupid that exists in this world, no offense, man, but like sometimes I see why these elite want to do what they want to do sometimes. I really do. It's like I hear speaking about the shit that people fall for, and I'm just like, yo, humans are like, whoa, like I get it. I fucking get it, man. Oh my God.
Have you guys
Sorry,
been
God,
watching
but
Chaos?
wow. Yeah, I'm on like episode 3 because I fell asleep. I was so
It is
tired.
such a wild concept to
So
think
great.
about the world. And I have been thinking about this since Abbie said it on Sunday, that in the Bible, it actually says that thou shalt not put no other God before me. And it blew my mind. Like, holy shit. God's admitting there's other gods. He's just admitting you can hang out with them, you can do whatever, but you come
I'm
to
the
me
man.
first.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind. Like, I've been thinking about it, and so then I'm like, "Oh my gosh, let's say there's these other deities in that like ruled things in some way that humans like realize, like in this show Chaos, that there's the time of Prometheus, and Prometheus brings the people fire, and Prometheus makes the people realize that they don't necessarily need the gods. They only get one life to live. There's no reincarnation in that kind of way that the gods are trying to convince them of. So with the gods can convince them that they're reincarnated, and so they do this whole myth. Really, the reason Zeus is becoming so powerful is because he's retaining all the souls. So then we were talking about Obama with the monkey god, and how him paying homage to this monkey god, is he somehow giving it energy, but is there energy in return? And because it's not a utilized god, it's not, he gets like more power from it, from this thing. So it just makes me think in like the Dionysus way or the Zeus way, or
Mhm.
the how many bodies are being sacrificed for you, how many people are paying homage for you, like even in the hoodoo, voodoo, or
The worship
saints.
feeds it,
Yeah,
yes.
or the saints way,
Whatever way that
or
is.
even in the way how we have the Washington Hall, or when Trump came out and he was like, stop tearing those monuments down. Like, I don't care. Like, he just snapped all of a sudden. He comes out with the Bible. Nope, you're not touching this one. Like, you can tear all those other statues down. And if it keeps happening, I'm going to send the National Guard in. It's like some part of paying these homage to gods feels like it must retain an energy that we quite don't understand. And so
Well,
having that false idol that God's like,
it's
don't put a
bad.
false idol up, it would retain something that maybe shouldn't be there in a chaos reign type
Yeah.
way.
So
Go on, Abbie.
the Gnostics, though,
I could
they
feel
believe
I
that
could feel it. I'm
yeah,
like,
I
I'm
was like,
going
I
on,
have
and
to talk.
Abby's like,
Okay,
I have so much to say.
so in Gnosticism, they believe that, when he gives them the Ten Commandments and says that thou shalt have no other gods before me, he's actually, this is Yaldabaoth. This is not it, Yahweh is Yaldabaoth. He's like the head of the demiurge. So he's literally a jealous, angry God, just like he's described in the Old Testament. So he is actually not the God anyway. That's why he's saying thou shalt have no other gods before me, because he is a jealous, angry God. This is not the God
Uh-huh.
of love. This is not even the God that Jesus is preaching. It's something else.
It's higher
It's
than that.
Yaldabaoth. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a creator to this realm, and the watcher of this realm has a creator. It's a fucking fractal theory to me. It's all fractals. A Russian doll within a doll and a doll and a doll and a doll and a doll. Where'd it come from? I don't know. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Kana Joe?
Yeah.
I knew you were gonna sing that. I was feeling Nimrod in the room. I
I
heard it
know.
too
I heard it
before it
too.
got here. I knew that whole song was coming.
Dude, the one eye. It's everywhere.
What do
On
you
your
think,
phone,
Thomas?
on your screen.
I feel like my internet is taking a shit again.
Oh,
It looks a little blurry. I want to ask you about something else, so I don't know if you can hear me or not, but
I can
also
hear you.
remember, if we were talking about energy weapons on 9/11, I also theorized that in my opinion, in this closed system that we work in energetically, for them to pool energy that would be a huge laser for a weapon, they'd need it to come out of somewhere. And electricity and lightning and storms are a very big producer of energy. And there was a hurricane sitting right off the coast of during 9/11. There was like a hurricane sitting right off the coast of New York. Do you remember that?
I don't. So I was actually in boot camp during 9/11, and I didn't even know it had happened until
yeah,
2
the
weeks
hurricane.
after.
Yeah.
Oh shit, yeah. Don't you hate that about boot camp? You don't know anything that's happening in the world. And that freaked me out while I was there, because literally, like, you thought 4th of July would be a big deal. And like, it's not. It's just another day in boot camp. Like, you don't even get to hear fireworks, see them, nothing. And like, no kind of like patriotic celebration. But then I was worried about that too. What if some huge catastrophe is happening and we're at war and we have no idea, because you have no connection with the outside world?
Within 2 weeks, we were basically attacked. It was funny because everyone's like, Joe, you
Oh,
fucking know.
Chaney, though, you're right. There was a hurricane that was supposed to hit New York City and like bad. But whatever HARP technology that they decided to activate literally fucking pushed the hurricane out and made sure that people can see everything that was happening. Clear, beautiful, brisk morning. I remember that morning. It was brisky. And right off the coast, it was just straddling there, not moving. It was just staying there, wanting to come this way, but something wasn't allowing it. What that something is, I don't know.
it was almost like they were all making us look to New York. I almost felt like all the weather system, because we had already been through a couple of big Florida storms. And so everybody was like comfortable watching the Weather Channel for that time of the year for hurricanes to come on. And so we had watched all these Weather Channel things, all about if a catastrophe happened in New York, all about if flooding happened in New York, and some storm that happened in the early 1900s that flooded the subways and yada, yada, yammer. And so I felt like everyone was watching New York because this storm was supposed to hit like within 24 or 48 hours of time. And
Has to
then
be.
it was like 9/11.
Yeah. It's so strange. So strange. And everyone was kind of like prepping for it. Like, oh my God, big hurricane coming. And well, poof. I wake up and I'm like, oh, this is an interesting movie. I'm like, oh, Twin Towers. And then my mom comes down. The Twin Towers, they got hit by a plane. And I'm like, what? I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, she's like, no. And I'm like, that's fucking real? Okay. I go upstairs. It was real. It was real.
And so in the Operation Northwoods of it all, I always find it interesting. It's like, this is this false flag that we know Pearl Harbor, we know false flags had happened on U.S. soil already beforehand, but this was just a false flag that the CIA tries to sell to President Kennedy. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do a false flag on the American people of Miami pretending Cubans brought down an airliner so we can go to war with Cuba. I'm not doing that. And so there was another point I was gonna. Oh yeah. So then in Miami, we have like just in the last few years that the Twin Towers in Miami are a false flag, that they're brought down in Miami. So we actually get some kind of Operation Northwoods-esque, but they just blame it all on like, oh, it's faulty buildings, yada yada yada. But they use this for a way for, I feel like the Israeli government comes over to Florida and we have a lot of officials in the state that's very separate of the country, like for a time. And it's all done under the guise of another Twin Towers, under kind of an Operation Northwoods that happens in Miami.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm packing my little bowl here.
Pack it up.
I got a little lady.
That's what I do. I when I'm doing all the prep and stuff and everything for the show, I like also am packing joints. So I'm like reading stuff or watching stuff, and I'm like packing all my little joints for the show. Oh, let me do this real quick so I don't forget. You guys, if you are going to be in the Florida area, October 25th and 26th, do go to brogrove.com, and I'm going to pull it up here. And I think it's Bohemian Grove too, but just brogrove.com. And you can get tickets to the Joke Joint in Summerfield, Florida. And there'll be stand-up comedy and a whole bunch of live podcasts and the Nephilim Death Squad. And a whole bunch of people will be there, a whole bunch of people, like all the people sitting here, and then a whole bunch more. So it will be a really good time, like food and drinks and smoke and people and merch and us. So do come and go to Bro. Even if you aren't going to go, make sure you do go to brogrove.com, because there is also going to be a live feed. So even if you're not going to be there, it should be very affordable. And then you'll have 2 days of like entertainment and live podcasts and who knows whatever other debauchery bands or, might be going on. So go to that website and do that thing.
Yeah, baby.
And
See
help
you
make-
there. And
Huh?
don't be weird.
Did it come up on the screen?
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Okay. I wasn't on it.
But the
Oh.
thing. So if we new thing,
Your
glitchy too.
internet cut up out totally again, and all it said was, if you come up, don't be weird. And I agree. I don't know what else you said after that.
Am I glitchy? Like my camera's glitchy.
No, you look all right.
You have a little lag, but it's not bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Abbie's crystal clear tonight.
Super. Mhm.
Period.
Yeah, she has that Oklahoma internet. It's because Walt Disney's coming in under her feet. She's got Boring Company drilling holes under her feet for the new Walt Disney World coming in there, and they're getting that good internet.
Oh
are.
God. Oh my
So,
God. Wonder how many
Turning
kids are gonna
Americans
go
are in
missing then.
Orlando. Oh, I know, right?
Fucking A.
I know. That's kind of what I feel like, is like, geez, Thomas is a 32nd degree Mason and he can't get perfect internet. The Illuminati doesn't just automatically give you good internet and a black Amex.
Right?
If it
Shame
doesn't come with
on the
that, I
Masons.
ain't joining. That's what I'm gonna write back next time they write in my
Shame on the brotherhood.
Instagram, and they ask me if I want to join the Illuminati. I'm gonna be like, does it come with a black Amex? Or if I'm like, does it come with a black and an Amex? And it's just like a beautiful Jamaican man holding an Amex.
Mm.
And then somebody would be like, that's not black. And Kamala Harris would be like, see?
Oh God, man. What's his name? The guy from Fox asked the Secretary of whatever that speaker, who the black lady, he's like, so
Press
What do
secretary.
you think of the secretary? What do you think of all the comments and people saying like what's going on with Kamala Harris with her southern accent, and she's like, "Are you seriously asking this question?" But like everybody wants to know, is this like an identity thing or whatever? It's like I don't. We have more important things. The American people want to know about the economy. No, we want to know what the fuck is going on. Like, why is she doing that?
She
Like, we
panders to the
all want to
demographic.
know why are
She
you
does it
doing
on
that,
every
girl.
show. Like she has a different
Like,
accent wherever she goes.
what the fuck? Stop.
Do you guys ever hang out with your black friends and maybe talk in your black accent a little?
I think everyone like I
Huh?
feel like I talk more southern now that I live in
I
southern
talk like this all
area.
the time. Like, what the fuck?
I
I think
sometimes
my
will hang out
West
with my
Coast
mom and
people
sister,
say
talk a
I lost my
little,
West Coast accent.
yeah. Like, or if you're in the country place for a while, or if you go to
Yeah.
Europe for too long, you might come back sounding like Madonna.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm
It's
just
like
saying that is one
you
thing
become
I
who you
can
hang out with.
like if I'm like I might sound a little different if I'm doing a live mic in Atlanta. And I think that like that's where Hillary's like, "Well, I got hot sauce in my purse." Like, girl, you're trying too hard.
Well, yeah, it's like, are you trying to pander to the black people? And she's like, I don't know, is it working? Like a fucking crackhead. Fucking-
I know that's kind of like
Squirrel.
Hillary, Quippy Hillary, the original clone of Hillary. Quippy Hillary, I miss her. Like there's
Bobblehead.
things like you would say if you were building an ultimate fighter that you'd be like, you know, Cain Velasquez at sea level would be one of your ultimate fighters that you'd make. Like if you went through UFC fighters, you'd put certain of them on certain times or certain of them on certain soil, and that's the best version of them. That first version of Hillary, her versus Trump was everything. Like them on the debate stage was everything.
It really
Like
was. It
it
really
was so
was.
great. Like it was just the new Hillary, the like chubbier version with the new cheeks, the like it's just
That's
the
not her.
look-alike, the one that's been there actually since we're talking about 9/11, the one that's been there since 9/11 2016, that new Hillary, she's just not as quick on it. She's not
Mm-mm.
a real attorney. She's just was a housewife that happened to look like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Like she's not
So she doesn't
really
have Kuru?
cool.
Can
That
anyone still
Hillary,
explain the shit that came out of Hillary's mouth and
dude,
fell
I was
into that
thinking
cup?
that in my fucking brain
Like,
right
come
now.
on. Does
What
anyone know what that
the
was?
fuck? I've never
Phlegm.
had in my whole life, even on my
Nah,
sickest day,
those
that
were
kind of
balls. Balls, green, slimy, coated yellow
that was
slime,
fucking
green
vril.
balls. Yeah, that was something. That was alien-esque.
That
That
was
was
fucking vril that day.
that was something. That I don't know what
It's
that
so
was,
weird.
but
You're saying that right now, and my cat just made the noise like,
confirmation.
"Don't puke."
Oh,
My cat's gonna turn into the vril. Funny too.
yeah.
My cat's name is Hillary.
Oh, is it?
What? It is
No.
not.
I'm like, wait
I
a
was like,
minute.
I
You're
don't
not
remember
kidding.
I
Hillary.
know. Yeah, I don't remember Hillary.
I never met Hillary, guys. She died of Kuru.
Kuro.
All right. Do we have anything else about 9/11? Do we have anything going on this week? Do you guys want to talk about anything else? Like Eminem bringing
An
out their 9
explosion
colors
went
again?
off,
What?
and an explosion happened. I don't know what happened exactly, but there's still so much conspiracy going around in Panama City Beach. It was not what they say it is. They said it was sonic boom, but there was no jets out when it happened. Like literally no jets out. I was sitting outside and all of a sudden, kaboom! Like something fucking exploded. Like it.
Dude, the rocket did go off, but it was too far in my opinion, because I'm a nerd and I get all the notices for it. And when I got the notice, it was already 10 minutes in. So it was already like red thing, you know, where it's like showing over the like fake the real picture of Earth, and it's
Mhm.
doing that thing where it's just the still footage over the thing shaking. Ding.
Mhm.
And so by the time you actually sent the thing text that was like, there was the loudest bang, blah, 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 I felt like it was like 45 minutes, an hour later. Like it felt too far to be a sonic boom. And then because you wrote that, it made me think, because I wrote it was subterranean warfare, being an asshole. But then I was like, what a perfect way to, like, if we were about to bomb something at a certain time, we shoot off a rocket around the same time so we can explain to people the vibration and the noise being sonic boom.
It was. I've been under a sonic boom. Like literally, like scared the fuck out of me. Like I know what it sounds like. I see the plane. Bup, 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 bup. This thing sounded like it was over me, but it wasn't. It was like down there, like literally down there. But it was so powerful. I felt the pressure, but poof, like. I was like, holy shit. My dad comes out. He's like, what the fuck was that? I was like, hello, anybody? Anybody else feel that out here? The whole neighborhood's still talking about it and they have no idea. But the military is just saying, oh, it was a sonic boom. Don't fucking lie. You lie. They're lying. That's what happened this week for me.
Anyone? Abbie?
No.
Thomas, you have anything fun going on this week?
Am I coming through?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Donut. That's going to be the headline for quite a while, and I think it's about to cross 300 people signed up. So
Nice.
we're doing our best to make this thing really freaking special. We got a commercial coming. We got a music video coming. We got a whole bunch of cool merch coming, a bunch of exclusives and stuff. So IlluminatiComic.com for months to come.
Nice.
IlluminatiComic.com. All that cool stuff will be coming. And if you haven't seen Donut's merch already, he has rad merch. So if you looked at Thomas's merch, like together, they're going to do something really cool. So do go over there and support that if you are in the supporting mood. And if you don't have dollars, maybe just repost their post somewhere when they're talking about it. And or maybe one of your friends will like it. Put it in your story. Big up it or something, because that's what we used to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome. I love you guys.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
hanging
guys
out.
For hanging out
I
for
love
our
you guys.
early 9/11 show. Real people do get hurt in false flags, so keep your head on a swivel out there. It is election season, and they are going to do everything in their power to take away yours. So, yeah.
Yeah. Vote for
man.
Trump.
Don't automatically let it loose you. If they're showing you pictures of this country or that building or this school, maybe just automatically do research, take a breath, and see where it goes from there. So
Hashtag vote for Trump.
with a V.
With a V.
2 V's.
Okay.
Vote for
VORE. Okay.
All right. We love you guys, and we will
Love
talk to you
y'all.
very
Bye.
soon. XOXO Gossip Girl. Bye-bye.
Britney Spears, can we be saved? God, why is Satan controlling the universe?
The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing woo. Our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, misfits, infiltrating cunning linguists, good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically, good guys. Conspiracies, sex, culture, making it's okay to change your thinking, good guys. Good guys, good guys, good guys. The world we used to think we knew is constantly exposing woo. Our possibilities come true. So what we do is call out to the good guys, good guys. Witches, widows, MAGA, misfits, infiltrating cunning linguists, good guys. The forum of the quorum needs a secretive society to advance our philosophies intentionally, magically, good guys. Conspiracy, sex, culture, making it's okay to change your thinking, good guys. Good guys, good guys, good
It's over. Go home.